Chapter 1898. This reincarnation seed contains all the memories and martial techniques of a rebirth realm powerhouse. If you obtain it, you will have the opportunity to cultivate a body more suitable for reincarnation. Once you enter the rebirth realm in the future, your chances of survival will greatly increase. The Yuan Venerate suddenly spoke. If a rebirth realm martialist wants to maintain his appearance, the strength of his physical body, and his memories after reincarnation, the requirements are very high. You have to search for more reincarnation seeds. I believe that others will be searching for them as well. This is an opportunity. Understood. Ling Xiao still didn't completely understand what the Yuan Venerate meant. After all, he wasn't a rebirth realm martialist. However, the Yuan Venerate's words couldn't be wrong. There was no need for him to figure it out now. It wouldn't be too late to figure it out slowly in the future. Thus, Ling Xiao began the process of frantically searching for reincarnation seeds. Even though there were many rebirth realm martialists, not every corpse of a rebirth realm martialist contained a reincarnation seed. Searching for one wasn't that easy. Furthermore, Ling Xiao wasn't the only one in the spatial rift. It's actually a reincarnation seed. I never imagined that there would be such a thing in the spatial rift. Ha ha ha! The heavens have treated Tyranny Tianhai well. Somewhere, Tyranny Tianhai laughed heartily. This wasn't the only scene in the spatial rift. Almost all the martialists who had entered the spatial rift and hadn't exited had discovered the reincarnation seed. For martialists who were determined to reach the rebirth realm, the reincarnation seed was too important. This was the cultivation experience and foundation of their predecessors. With it, many difficult problems could be easily solved, and one wouldn't have to feel the stones to cross the river. More importantly, the reincarnation seed could strengthen a martialist soul and body, allowing them to obtain more benefits in the rebirth realm. However, there was a limit to the reincarnation seed, so the martialists also began to fight over it. The martialists who had originally maintained a tacit understanding and weren't willing to fight each other also began to fight. More and more martialists were sent out of the spatial rift ahead of time. The sixth reincarnation seed. Ling Xiao once again destroyed the corpse of a rebirth realm martialist and obtained a reincarnation seed. These seeds were really hard to come by. Xiao Qin was the first to discover it. After that, he did not stop. Relying on the Taiji Eye, he only managed to find 6 cycle seeds. It was unlikely that the others could do better than him. There are only 5 minutes left before the treasure hunt ends. There is still a rebirth state king's corpse over there. Hurry up! Ling Xiao circulated his soul power, and the Tai Chi Eye released a strange light. Instantly, he could see tens of li away. His figure flickered as he sped up. A few dozen kilometers was nothing to a yin-yang realm martial artist, but Ling Xiao still had to hurry. Even if he found the corpse of a rebirth realm martial artist, he might not be able to obtain the reincarnation seed. Arriving at the scene, Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all. Taking advantage of the fact that the skeleton had yet to stand up, he directly punched out. A terrifying scarlet sun force gushed out from his fist, instantly smashing the skeleton into pieces. Good luck, this is the 7th one. A golden seed flew out and landed in Ling Xiao's hand, causing him to smile in relief. After running such a long distance, it would be a waste if he did not obtain anything. When Ling Xiao took out the seed of reincarnation, a pair of gloomy eyes stared at him from about a mile away. Ling Xiao, since you met me today, just wait for your death. Moreover, this fellow has already obtained 7 cycle seeds. I only managed to obtain 1 after so much effort. The figure revealed a jealous and unhappy expression. Then he disappeared into the darkness and sped up towards Ling Xiao. Trying to sneak attack me? The instant that person moved, Ling Xiao's soul power accurately captured him. His earth vision and heaven hearing was still effective, and its range was even larger. A huge circle enveloped everything within half a li of him. If there was any movement within this range, he would immediately know. The person was extremely fast. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth cracked into a smile. I was wondering who it was. So it is the White Tiger Empire's violent tiger, Lei Meng. Ling Xiao looked at the newcomer. It was one of the 13 peak geniuses, Lei Meng. This White Tiger Empire was really interesting. The strongest Lai did not enter, but Lei Meng and Lei Tun did. That Lai was really cautious. Brett, you actually dared to not run after meeting me. Violent Tiger, Lei Meng. Seems like you are very confident in yourself. Lei Meng looked like a brainless person. He was relatively simple and straightforward. Give me your cycle seed, and I will not kill you. In any case, I have no enmity with you. Ling Xiao stood there and smiled. Then why don't you give me your cycle seed? Lei Meng was stunned for a moment, as if he did not expect Ling Xiao to have such an attitude towards him. He was instantly annoyed. He did not waste any more words. Raising his hands, he suddenly took out 2 octagonal purple golden hammers and smashed them towards Ling Xiao. Originally, we had no enmity and wanted to let you live. Now, it seems like you really like to court death. The twin hammers emitted a terrifying aura. It was as if 2 mountains were pressing down, smashing through the sky. Ling Xiao's face turned cold. He suddenly raised his hand and used Blood Sun's sword. He did not dare to be careless against Lei Meng. Boom! The ground began to tremble, and terrifying fissures spread across the ground. Ling Xiao and Lei Meng were forced to retreat. This exchange actually ended in a draw. How is this possible? I am an Yin-Yang Realm level 18 expert. How can you, a mere Yin-Yang Realm level 13 expert, fight against me? Lei Meng naturally did not understand. Ling Xiao was currently at the Yin-Yang Realm level 14, and he happened to be Lei Meng's nemesis. Lei Meng's forte was brute force, and he also cultivated the body refining technique. However, in terms of body refining technique, Ling Xiao's mystic world body was much better than his. Ling Xiao was not afraid of him in a physical fight. Good boy, I underestimated you. No wonder you dared to challenge Tianhai tyranny. You do have some strength, but it all ends here. Lei Meng's body suddenly emitted a terrifying power. His body began to transform, gradually turning into a huge monster with a tiger head and a human body. He still held 2 octagonal, purple golden hammers in his hands. Countless cracks appeared on the ground under his feet due to his terrifying power. It looked extremely strange. You think you're the only one who can transform? Ling Xiao sneered, and his body began to transform. Mystic world body. Thunder dragon. Boom! Lightning fell from the sky. Ling Xiao's body completely transformed into a dragon, and his huge claws clawed at Lei Meng. Roar! Lei Meng roared like a tiger, and his twin hammers collided with the dragon claws. Chapter 1899. The ground was blasted open by the terrifying explosion, and a large number of skeletons appeared. One of the skeletons was blood red, and it was very similar to Bai Ren's skeletons. The skeletons suddenly exploded, and 2 blood-red rays of light shot towards Ling Xiao and Lei Meng at the same time. Ling Xiao's reaction was extremely fast. His body moved instantly as if he had moved in an instant. However, Lei Meng's choice was a little strange. He was too confident in himself. He actually swung his hammers at the blood-red skeletons. Puff! The terrifying power sent Lei Meng flying. In midair, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood contained fragments of his internal organs, and he seemed to be seriously injured. Of course, the blood-red skeletons were not completely fine. After being hit by the hammers, the skeletons caved in and froze there for a long time without moving. Ling Xiao saw the opportunity and suddenly exerted his strength. The terrifying sky dragon claw slammed down and completely shattered the blood-red skeletons. Then a reincarnation seed flew into his hand. This reincarnation seed was slightly larger than the others, and it was golden red. After using it, the effects would definitely be better. Run. Although Lei Meng was not very smart, he was not stupid to the extreme. He was now seriously injured, but Ling Xiao was unharmed. If it were him, he would definitely be afraid that Ling Xiao would suddenly attack and kill him. It would be better for him to teleport out. Although he was unwilling, it was better than dying here. Ling Xiao did not chase after Lei Meng. Anyway, he could not catch up to him unless he teleported out too. There were still 3 minutes before the treasure hunt ended. He still had some things to do. Under the ground that had been blasted open, there were many skeletons of rebirth realm martial artists. Perhaps he could find more reincarnation seeds or spirit weapons. He thought that nothing would happen in the next 3 minutes. However, he was wrong. It was unknown who had triggered some kind of mechanism. But within the spatial rift, 10 terrifying shadows suddenly descended. These 10 black shadows were all at the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm. They actually started to chase after the martial artists in the spatial crack. At this moment, there were still 11 people left in the spatial crack. Ling Xiao, Tianhai Tyranny, the Crown Princess, Feng Fei, Zui Linglong, Jun Macho, Muan Chuang, Lei Tan, Fairy Qingqiu, Qingqiu Lihua, and Cold Plum. Among the 11 people, except for Cold Plum, this terrifying expert had appeared in front of everyone. In an instant, Jun Macho and Muan Chuang were sent out of the treasure hunt. The rest of the people began to fight with the black shadows. The White Tiger Continent's 13 top geniuses, no matter which one it was, all lived up to their reputations. However, these shadows were extremely strange. Even they were defeated within a minute due to the strange energy restriction within the spatial rift, and had to leave. In the last 2 minutes, only Ling Xiao and Cold Plum were left in the space crack. Of course, Ling Xiao was no match for the black shadow, but he had too many ways to escape. In an instant, the black shadow lost its target and headed in the direction of Cold Plum. He couldn't abandon Cold Plum and leave alone. Just as he was about to leave, he saw Cold Plum's shadow. Currently, Cold Plum was surrounded by a ball of black energy. He didn't know what was going on, but he couldn't just stand by and watch. 2 minutes might not be enough for a normal person, but for him, it was enough for many things. On the road to Cold Plum's location, there were 4 figures standing there. They had transparent wings on their backs, and their bodies were like phantoms. The first figure was at the 14th level of the Yin-Yang realm. When Ling Xiao tried to go past him to find Cold Plum, the other party suddenly attacked and blocked Ling Xiao's path. "Scram! I don't have time to play with you." Ling Xiao roared. He didn't even attack. His terrifying voice contained powerful sword intent that penetrated the 14th level of the Yin-Yang realm martial artist soul ocean. The martial artist instantly turned into black smoke and disappeared. However, after killing one person, another person attacked almost at the same time. Ling Xiao's expression didn't change. He suddenly punched, and a firmament fist descended from the sky and turned the second person into black smoke. The second person's cultivation was at the 15th level of the Yin-Yang realm. However, after defeating this person, Ling Xiao's expression didn't look too good. It was obvious that each of the 4 figures was stronger than the last. After defeating the 15th level of the Yin-Yang realm black shadow, the next one was at the 16th level of the Yin-Yang realm. However, Ling Xiao was still expressionless in the face of this black shadow. He waved his hand, and the divine light sword appeared in his hand. The first form of the Crimson Sun sword technique dawned in the horizon. The moment the divine light sword appeared, it seemed extremely slow, but the light had already pierced the third black shadow's body. The flames burned, and the black shadow gradually turned into ashes. What surprised Ling Xiao was that the moment the black shadow was burned, he actually saw the fear in the other party's eyes. These fellows actually had consciousness. However, to him, he couldn't care less. Cold Plum's safety was the most important. These black shadows wanted to stop him, so he had to kill them. The fourth black shadow was at the 17th level of the Yin Yang realm. Although it was slightly difficult to deal with, it wasn't too difficult for Ling Xiao. He only used 3 seconds to kill the first 3 black shadows. Almost every second, Ling Xiao killed an opponent. Even the fourth shadow was surprised by this. He actually spoke. It's rare that you can actually break through the obstruction of the first 3 people. Moreover, you're so young. It's a pity that you're too young. If you had a few more years, you would have been able to successfully pass through the 5 shadow formation of the space crack and reach the core of the space crack. When you reach there, you'll benefit even more. What a pity, what a pity. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Either get out of my way or die. The girl inside is my friend. If I want to leave, I have to take her with me. Ling Xiao said coldly to the other party as he accumulated his strength. Since she's your friend, I can make things easier for you. If you can get past me, I'll let you take her with you. The black shadow said calmly. There's no need for that. If I ask you to get out of my way, then get out of my way. Don't make me angry. Ling Xiao's voice became even colder. He was about to release the power he had accumulated. What an arrogant brat. Since that's the case, unless you kill me, don't even think about getting past me. I've already given you a chance. It's you who doesn't understand how precious it is. The black shadow seemed to be a little angry. He felt that Ling Xiao looked down on him. This time, Ling Xiao didn't waste any time. He had already finished accumulating power. A dazzling light suddenly flashed in the sky. Red Sun Sword Technique. Second style, Red Sun Flash. Kill. What? The black shadow only had that dazzling light in his eyes. The speed was too fast. The only thing he could do was to put his hands in front of him to protect his vital parts. Chapter 1900. Swish. The terrifying sword intent was both sharp and powerful. A ferocious killing intent surged out of Ling Xiao's body and poured into the sword light. The sharp sword intent became even sharper. The black figure's hands were pierced through, and a small cut appeared on its throat. You really are arrogant, but there's a reason for your arrogance. It's because I'm not as good as you, but you still can't reach that woman because you can't get past the 5th person. The black figure slowly fell to the ground and turned into a wisp of green smoke. The 5th person? Ling Xiao gave a start. He didn't see the 5th person. Could it be? He thought of the 10 figures at the 18th level of Yin Yang realm. Could this 5th person be one of them? If so, then it'd be terrible. The 18th level of the Yin Yang realm was the peak of the Yin Yang realm. Aside from those at the half-step rebirth realm, they were almost invincible. With Ling Xiao's current cultivation, it was too difficult to defeat an opponent of this level. But he had to try. He knew that Tianhai Tyranny, Feng Fei, and even Lei Lai were all at the 18th level of the Yin Yang realm. His Taiji I couldn't see through their cultivation levels, but he could guess that they were stronger than that. They couldn't be weaker than the 18th level of the Yin Yang realm. Since no one's watching, I might as well use my full strength. It's been a long time since I've used all my trump cards. Ling Xiao saw the black shadow that had already appeared. Just as he predicted, it was at the peak of the 18th level of the Yin Yang realm. Less than 10 seconds had passed since the last 2 minutes. Ling Xiao still had 1 minute and 50 seconds to defeat the black figure and save Cold Plum. At the same time, a huge uproar was happening outside Thunderclap City. Everyone was looking at the stage. Even Tianhai Tyranny, Feng Fei, and Lei Lai had been sent out. Lei Lai hadn't entered the spatial crack, but he was sent out as well. That was because the people outside were being chased by the black figure. If the people outside could enter the spatial crack, the black figure inside could come out as well. What's going on? It wasn't time yet, so why had everyone come out? Could it be that something happened inside? That shouldn't be the case. Maybe these people all think that victory is already in their grasp, so it's fine if they don't continue for the last 2 minutes. What you said seems to make some sense. Then guess who exactly will become the top 3 geniuses? If you ask me, Feng Fei counts as one, Tianhai Tyranny counts as another, and then there's Lei Lai. Don't look down on the other geniuses. Drunken Linglong is unfathomable, and the little guy is strange and unpredictable. They could all be the strongest contenders for the top 3. Anyway, it can't be that arrogant Ling Xiao, right? Ha, ha ha ha, that's right. That person is only good at talking. Although he has some strength against 13 top geniuses, not to mention getting into the top 3, I reckon he won't even be able to keep his life. That's right, that's right. We've seen plenty of people like him. He didn't come out. Could he be dead? He's definitely dead. Otherwise, how could he still be alive when the others have all come out? Could he be stronger than the 13 top geniuses? While the crowd was praising the 13 top geniuses, they didn't forget to mock Ling Xiao as well. It was as if Ling Xiao was the clown of the white tiger meat. But they didn't know that clowns were sometimes the scariest of existences. Lawless and the other 5 judges stood in the air, anxiously waiting for the results to be tallied up. As they saw it, the second round of the white tiger meat, the treasure hunt, had already ended early. There was no need to wait any longer. Ling Xiao must have died inside. In the end, he'd be teleported out with the other dead cultivators. Right now, he was more concerned about who had the highest score and whether or not anyone had gotten a divine grade spirit weapon. Just as the spectators had predicted, the 3 strongest geniuses in his eyes were Feng Fei, Tianhai Tyranny, and Lei Lai. But even if a dark horse appeared, it couldn't be the 16 geniuses from the first round. Of course it couldn't be Ling Xiao, because that guy was already dead. The results are out. Suddenly, Lawless received a report. Announce it immediately, Lawless said excitedly. He wanted to know who the top 3 geniuses were as well. After all, they might have divine grade spirit weapons in their hands. There's still a minute left. Are we really going to end it early? The martial artist who came to report asked hesitantly, "What are you hesitating for? Those who haven't come out yet are all trash. Do you think they're stronger than the 13 top geniuses?" Lawless looked coldly at the newcomer and shouted, "Supreme Divinity's words are correct. This subordinate will announce the results now." After all, Lawless was his superior, and he was only a subordinate. He didn't dare speak too much, lest he offend the other and lose his life. Hearing that the results were about to be announced, everyone grew excited, but there were still some discordant voices. "Judge, we don't accept this." The ones who spoke were those who were on good terms with Ling Xiao. "Why don't you accept this?" Lawless looked coldly at these people. A bunch of ants dared to raise objections to his way of doing things. "The treasure hunt isn't over yet. Isn't it too hasty to announce the results now? How do you know that Ling Xiao can't be stronger than them?" The one who spoke was Dan Feng. As the strongest and most stable martial artist in the Heavenly Empire, Ling Xiao wasn't here for the time being, so of course he had to speak. "Are you questioning my judgment?" Lawless looked coldly at Dan Feng, his eyes revealing a cold, murderous intent. "I wouldn't dare. I'm just speaking the truth," Dan Feng said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. "Ants should just sit there obediently and not spout nonsense. Does Ling Xiao think he can surpass us with just his strength? I'm not afraid to tell you that I saw him killed with my own eyes, and he died under my hands." 100-eyed demon, Lord Wulong sneered. "Yes, we saw it too. Ling Xiao is indeed dead. He died under the sword of a black shadow. As for who killed him, it's not clear." Lei Tun also spoke out. "Humph, that kid is extremely arrogant. Others will choose to run when they encounter danger, but he wants to pretend to be a fatty when he encounters danger. He deserves to be killed." Because he suffered a loss at the hands of Ling Xiao, Lei Mang naturally slandered and despised Ling Xiao. "You say that my big brother is dead, so he's dead? What bullshit top genius. You're all just a bunch of rascals, shooting your mouth off and talking nonsense." Long Chen stood up in rage, and a dragon roar actually sounded out. The current him has already become the second strongest in the Heavenly Empire, stronger than Danfeng and second only to Ling Xiao. Although he can be very impulsive at times, when he fights, it's very reassuring. Chapter 1901. Impudent. In the Zhengyi school, the fifth son suddenly exploded and wanted to teach Long Chen a lesson. Lawless didn't stop him, but allowed him to attack Long Chen. Hong Qi wanted to stop him, but was blocked by the demon liquor sword. Don't worry, that boy is more powerful than you think. Hong Qi froze for a moment and didn't move. At this moment, there was a loud noise in the sky. The fifth son flew over and then flew back, but this time he was sent flying by a direct hit. A terrifying dragon's roar resounded through the entire arena. Long Chen looked coldly at the fifth son, who was vomiting blood on the ground, and said loudly, "Do you really think the martial artists of our celestial empire are easy to bully? Trash." The dignified fifth son of the Zhengyi school was actually called Trash. This made the faces of the Zhengyi school people ugly. But what could they do? The fifth son was no match for Long Chen. Unless Feng Fei Wulong, Zui Linglong, and Jun Emoqing made a move, they would also be humiliated. Boy, you're courting death. Hundred-eyed demon Lord Wulong had almost been killed twice by Ling Xiao. Previously, he had been injured by Cold Plum in the spatial rift, so he had no choice but to withdraw midway. He had long wanted to find someone from the Celestial Empire. This time, when he saw Wulong injure the fifth son, he felt that his chance had come. With a roar, he struck out with both palms, and the terrifying palm shadows completely enveloped Long Chen. The Battle of the Kings hasn't started yet. Why are you in such a hurry, hundred-eyed demon lord? Do you want me to accompany you in a fight? The one who suddenly appeared between Long Chen and Wulong was Sun Lingchan. She had received many favors from Ling Xiao and was entrusted by Ling Xiao to take care of the Celestial Empire's martial artists. Seeing Wulong make a move now, she naturally wouldn't stand idly by. Hundreds of silver needles emitted a strange cold light in front of her, startling hundred-eyed demon Lord Wulong and forcing him to stop. This woman isn't simple. Hundred-eyed demon Lord Wulong's face was gloomy. Sun Lingchan's strength didn't seem to be inferior to that crown prince's consort at all. Had this woman been pretending all along? That's enough. Just as Wulong was caught between a rock and a hard place, Lawless' voice came again. The referee for the second match is me. If I say that I will announce the results now, then I will announce it now. If that Ling Xiao is really still alive and even obtained better results, this sovereign is willing to apologize to him in front of everyone. I'm afraid an apology alone won't be enough, right? How about something more substantial and ensure that the martial artists of the Heavenly Dynasty Empire can safely leave the Myriad Thunder Extreme Place? The liquored demon, Sword said with a smile. Lawless frowned. He could call Long Chen and Danfeng ants, but he dared not underestimate the wine demon Sword. But how could he agree to this condition? He knew that someone wanted Ling Xiao's life after the White Tiger Storm meet ended. Don't dare? Or are you not confident in your own words? Since you are not confident, just stay there and don't make a fuss. It won't be too late to announce the results after the treasure hunt. The demonic liquor Sword's voice was filled with cold mockery. Lawless, with such a domineering name, was the kind of person who refused to admit defeat. How could he not react to the wine demon Sword's mockery? If that Ling Xiao is still alive and ranked in the top 3, then this sovereign swears that anyone who wants to kill him will have to step over this sovereign's corpse first. Lawless said loudly, Very good. Then you can announce the results." The liquor demon Sword smiled. Actually, there was no difference whether the results were announced earlier or later for those with high scores. Kieran knew that Lawless would be arrogant. That was why he had proposed such a condition in exchange for some benefits. First place goes to Feng Fei. As expected, it's him. Jingyi School's #1 genius. He lives up to his name. The audience quickly forgot about Ling Xiao and began to pay attention to the announcement of the results. Tianhai Tyranny couldn't help but furrow his brows when he heard the results. He was unhappy that Feng Fei had surpassed him. At the same time the results were announced, the crystal screens around the arena also displayed the details of her points, including what treasures she had obtained. It was all very clear. This way, everyone could compare and see if there was anything fishy about the results. Second place goes to Tianhai Tyranny. Tianhai Empire's crown prince is still strong enough. That's right. I think the final battle between the kings will be between him and Feng Fei. Third place goes to Lei Lai. Most people's guesses were right. These three were the most outstanding of the 13 top geniuses. The second battle's rankings also showed the problem. Fourth place goes to Sun Lingchan. What? It's actually her. She's a dark horse, an absolute dark horse. Fourth place surprised many people. It was actually Sun Lingchan, not one of the 13 top geniuses. Haha, my daughter really didn't disappoint me. Pale King Sun Beard stroked his beard, looking very proud. Lawless added, looks like this time's dark horse is Sun Lingchan. I wonder if there's any other dark horse. Fifth place. The person announcing the results suddenly furrowed his brows, as if he couldn't continue. What's going on? Lawless asked sternly, Honored sir, something doesn't seem right. That person said, It's not up to you to decide whether it's right or not. These results were compiled by Black Tortoise Temple and the 5 Great Powers. Don't speak carelessly. In any case, there's a detailed list. What's there to be afraid of? Lawless said coldly. Yes, 5th place, Long Chin. Long Chin. How could it be him? Once again, the crowd was in an uproar. A dark horse had just appeared, and now another dark horse had appeared. Moreover, this dark horse seemed to be even darker. After all, no matter how bad Sun Lingchan was, she was still the second of the Tianhai 4 greats, second only to Tianhai Tyranny. But what was up with this Long Chin? What did he have? However, no matter how many people were unconvinced or couldn't understand, the points on the crystal screen were very clear. They could see how the points were obtained, and they couldn't find any problems. What a stroke of dog luck! Wu Long cursed indignantly. He really couldn't accept that such an unknown guy was ranked in front of him. Could it be that this Long Chin is the strongest in the Heavenly Dynasty Empire, and that Ling Xiao is just a distraction? That's possible. Ling Xiao is being so arrogant on purpose. Isn't it to cover for this Long Chin? I also heard that this Long Chin is a real dragon. People like to find reasons that they could accept. Therefore, they very naturally believed that Long Chin was the strongest person in the Heavenly Dynasty Empire, and Ling Xiao was just cannon fodder that had been thrown out. Only then could they feel a little better and feel that this was a relatively normal situation. Chapter 1902. A Bunch of Idiots. Long Chin looked at these self-righteous fellows with disdain. Only those who didn't understand his big brother Ling would say such stupid things. Long Chin wasn't afraid of any of the 13 top geniuses. Even Feng Fei and Tianhai Tyranny couldn't give him the idea that he couldn't win. Ling Xiao was the only one who made him unable to even think of resisting. He was too familiar with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's strength made it impossible for him to resist. Even he couldn't see through his big brother completely. Ling Xiao had too many secrets. While the results were being announced outside, Ling Xiao's divine radiant sword had already turned into scarlet blood within the spatial rift. The blood-red sword shone with a strange luster that made people shudder. The black figure at the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm looked coldly at the youth before him. I didn't expect you to have such a trump card. I'm very surprised. Cut the crap. Get out of the way, and I'll spare your life. Ling Xiao had already sensed that the shadow in the space crack could rely on the demonic aura to suppress martial artists of the same level. However, if the opponent wasn't affected by the demonic aura, then they would become much weaker. They might even be weaker than their opponents. In other words, this black figure might be at the peak of the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm, but he relied on his devilish qi to support his strength. If he was outside, he wouldn't be a match for Tianhai Tyranny or Feng Fei. It just so happened that not only would Ling Xiao not be negatively affected by the demonic qi, he could even absorb the demonic qi to make himself stronger. Thus, even though there seemed to be a great disparity in strength, Ling Xiao might not necessarily lose. Not only was there devilish qi in the air, but there was also blood energy. After all, this was a place where many strong cultivators had died. Devilish qi continuously poured into Ling Xiao's body, making him feel incomparably comfortable. His body gradually turned into a half-demon. It wasn't a complete celestial demon, but more like a half-human, half-demon. This was beneficial for absorbing devilish qi without affecting the use of scarlet blood. As scarlet blood absorbed the blood energy, the evil aura grew thicker. There was also that terrifying slaughter sword intent. "Make your move, I won't step aside," the black silhouette said calmly, seemingly indifferent to everything Ling Xiao had displayed. "Very good." Ling Xiao suddenly stabbed out with his sword, and the power of blood burst out. Within the sword qi, there was actually the sound of ghosts crying and wolves howling. This sword, fused with the fast sword intent, instantly arrived in front of the black figure. The black shadow glanced at it coldly and stretched out 2 fingers, easily catching the scarlet blood sword. The powerful blood energy actually began to dissipate rapidly. "If that's all you've got, you'd better scram. She won't go back with you. She'll stay in this spatial crack forever. She won't come out until 100 years later." The black shadow looked coldly at Ling Xiao, seemingly disdainful. Ling Xiao's expression did not change. This was because he didn't think that he would be able to defeat his opponent with this move. After all, his opponent was a martial artist at the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Even without the advantage of the spatial crack, he was still not easy to deal with. Third move of the Scarlet Sun sword technique, Scarlet Sun Vortex. Ling Xiao did not retreat. The scarlet blood sword in his hand suddenly released a strange blood-red vortex, which actually pulled his opponent towards him. The black shadow was slightly stunned. Obviously, he was surprised by this strange move. However, it was just a surprise. A powerful demonic aura burst out of his body. His body directly broke free from the control of the Scarlet Sun Vortex, and he still stood there steadily. Obviously, he did not intend to attack Ling Xiao. His goal was to defend. He blocked Ling Xiao and did not let him pass. In fact, such an opponent was even more difficult to deal with. This was because if the black shadow attacked, Ling Xiao's Tai Chi I would be able to see through his flaws. However, if the black shadow did not attack, there would be very few flaws, and he would not be able to grasp them. However, Ling Xiao did not give up. The scarlet blood sword in his hand suddenly turned into a long line. It wriggled in the air like a blood vessel. It pierced towards the black shadow's throat at an extremely strange angle. This attack was too sudden. Moreover, it was extremely fast. Ling Xiao did not believe that the black shadow could completely dodge it. Just as he expected, the sword directly pierced into the black shadow's shoulder. It was originally aimed at the black shadow's throat, but the black shadow shifted at the crucial moment to avoid the fatal point, so the sword pierced into the shoulder. Good sword technique. The black shadow took a step back and looked coldly at Ling Xiao. Your cultivation should be at the early stage of the 14th level of the Yin-Yang realm, right? It's really rare that you can actually stab me. However, everything ends here. After he was injured, he was clearly enraged and did not want to be careless anymore. Suddenly, a terrifying aura burst out and charged towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao only felt a terrifying demonic aura coming towards him. He had no choice but to use the flash godly travel, and his figure instantly moved dozens of meters away. You won't be able to save her if you keep dodging like this. The black shadow looked at Ling Xiao and mocked him. At this moment, there was only 1 minute left. However, there was still no progress in the battle. Ling Xiao was extremely anxious, but he knew very well that he had to remain calm and not fall into the black shadow's trap. Otherwise, everything would be over. Cold Plum had been with him since General Lindsay. He had once said that he would protect Cold Plum from death. If he could not do it today, it would be a slap to his own face, and he would be extremely useless. He definitely did not want to be a useless person. Is that so? Don't regret it. Ling Xiao's expression returned to calmness. This was because he knew that no matter how anxious he was, he had to get rid of the black shadow in front of him first. The crimson blood sword in his hand changed again into the blood sun sword. The moment the blood sun sword was released, the black shadow's expression changed drastically. His figure kept flashing. However, in the end, he still could not avoid all the attacks. Countless terrifying wounds appeared on his body. These wounds pierced his originally somewhat transparent body to the point that it was almost torn to shreds. Did you just say that I can't hurt you anymore? Ling Xiao's face was full of mockery, but he did not stop attacking. The blood sun sword condensed the profound meaning of light, the crimson sun sword essence, the fast and slow sword essence, and the blood force. It was more magnificent than the crimson sword general's moves at his peak. Although it was not that powerful, it was only because Ling Xiao's cultivation was relatively low. It did not affect the terrifying power of this sword. Kill! The blood-red sword light flashed again, and the whole world seemed to have turned red. The blood sun sword in his hand stabbed at the black shadow at an astonishing speed, causing the black shadow to keep retreating. It was getting closer and closer to Cold Plum. Blood sun sword. Change of the rising sun. Ling Xiao practiced the Crimson Sun sword technique to combine it with the Crimson Sun 9 changes. Chapter 1903. The Crimson Sun 9 changes did not have any moves, but it could increase the power of the moves. When combined with the Crimson Sun sword technique, the effect was even more terrifying. The blood-red sword suddenly lit up with a dazzling light, and a rising sun unexpectedly appeared in this lifeless space crack. This terrifying sword strike directly pierced through the black shadow's body, leaving a huge hole where the black shadow's heart was. However, the black figure was obviously not human. There was nothing at his heart. Although the sword caused him immense pain, it did not take his life. Scram! The black figure seemed to have been angered. He actually let out a humiliated roar. Terrifying yin-yang energy instantly erupted and surged forward. He wanted to completely destroy Ling Xiao and his sword shadows. He was a yin-yang realm space ghost at the 18th level. He even had some memories of his past. However, he was forced into such a passive state by a kid at the 14th level of the yin-yang realm. How could he not be angry? All the Crimson Sun sword shadows instantly disappeared. Ling Xiao also retreated dozens of meters away. However, what he wanted to do was to advance by retreating. Before the black figure could even prepare to attack, Ling Xiao's even stronger move came again. Crimson Sun sword, scorching sun change. An even more terrifying attack came. The black figure could only block. From the scorching sun change to the violent sun change, and then to the true sun change, Ling Xiao continuously attacked 3 times. Although the black figure blocked all of them, he kept retreating. Ling Xiao could already see Cold Plum's appearance. Cold Plum's current situation was a little strange. A pair of strange black horns grew out of her head. Not only that, but a pair of black wings also grew out of her back. She looked even colder than usual. Even Ling Xiao felt a chill run down his spine. What was going on? Was Cold Plum not in trouble? Or was his body taken over by something? Ling Xiao did not dare to let his imagination run wild. Another sword slashed towards the black shadow. Seeing that there was no way out, the black figure finally stopped retreating. The terrifying demonic qi in the surroundings kept surging into his body. A pitch-black cloud surrounded him. His aura was also rapidly growing stronger. A martial artist at the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm is indeed difficult to deal with. Looks like I have to use my trump card. Ling Xiao didn't have time to think. This series of attacks had already taken more than half a minute, and the treasure hunt was about to end. He suddenly stopped attacking, and the pitch-black universe of Tyrant appeared behind him, enveloping the entire space. In the space, a black shadow was faintly discernible. Sky Tyrant, Blood Sun Sword, Pure Yon Change. In the vast universe, a blood-red star suddenly lit up. Then the star cracked open, and a blood-red sword flew out from it. The long sword accelerated its descent and instantly reached the top of the black shadow's head. The black figure looked at the huge blood sun sword in the sky in horror and finally gave up resisting. Is this your true strength? How terrifying. At such a young age, I'm afraid no one in the Yin-Yang realm is a match for you except half-step rebirth realm cultivators. Boom! The terrifying blood sun sword finally landed, and the black shadow was directly slashed apart. His entire body disappeared. Ling Xiao naturally knew how powerful he would be after using the Sky Tyrant martial soul. However, this was his secret, and he wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. Therefore, when calculating his strength, he would never include the Sky Tyrant martial soul. Rank 6. Boom. The announcement of the ranking on the arena stopped for a long time. That was because some people suspected that there was something fishy about Long Chen, who was ranked 5th, and they suggested that the ranking should be recalculated. In the end, there was no problem, but it wasted a lot of time. When the ranking was announced, the treasure hunt had already ended. 2 figures fell from the sky, interrupting the announcement of the results. Who is it? Someone actually dares to cause trouble in the white tiger meat? Is he courting death? Could it be that someone made it out alive? Everyone's attention was attracted by the terrifying tremors. Even Lawless and the others were staring at the 2 figures in the ring. They wanted to know who they were. Ling Xiao. And who's that woman? I think she's Ling Xiao's maid, but I didn't pay much attention to her name. Astonishment. Incomparable astonishment. The 2 figures that appeared on the arena were actually Ling Xiao and Cold Plum. How was this possible? They actually didn't die. Ha ha ha, big brother, you really didn't die. Those bastards all said that you died. Ha ha, that's great. Long Chen was so excited that he was crying and laughing at the same time. He simply didn't know how to express his emotions. The Heavenly Dynasty empires, people all rushed over, surrounding Ling Xiao and Cold Plum in the center. They were all extremely excited. However, among the crowd, Tianhai Tyranny, Crown Princess, Hundred-Eyed Demon Lord Wulong, Xiao Budian, and the 3 tigers of the White Tiger Empire didn't look too good. They were hoping that Ling Xiao would be killed, hoping that they wouldn't see Ling Xiao's figure again. But now, Ling Xiao appeared in front of them, perfectly fine. He didn't even have the slightest injury. Wulong, aren't you ashamed? Didn't you say that you killed Ling Xiao? How is he still alive? Long Chen wiped his tears and looked at Hundred-Eyed Demon Lord Wulong and mocked. Wulong lowered his head, his expression unsettled. Although Long Chen mocked and scolded him, he couldn't retort because Ling Xiao really didn't die, and he really did become a complete joke. Ling Xiao is still alive. I didn't expect that woman to also be alive. She's not that strong, right? If Ling Xiao coming out alive was a miracle, then Cold Plum coming out alive was a miracle among miracles. It was simply unbelievable. Cold Plum, are you okay? When Ling Xiao brought Cold Plum out, he didn't even have the time to ask about Cold Plum's situation. At this moment, he didn't care about the discussions around him at all. He just smiled at his friends as a greeting, then looked at Cold Plum and asked. Cold Plum had already returned to her original appearance, but the aura in her body was countless times stronger. This made him feel a little incredulous. He kept worrying that Cold Plum might have been possessed by something. However, the situation observed by the Tai Chi eye was very normal. Master, I'm fine. Trust me, when we have time I'll explain. Cold Plum looked at Ling Xiao and said very sincerely, It's good that you're fine. Whether you want to explain or not, you decide. When Ling Xiao heard Cold Plum's normal voice, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. He gently patted the spiritual medium's head and smiled. Cold Plum naturally had to explain because she felt that Ling Xiao was her only family in this world. She wanted Ling Xiao to completely trust her without the slightest doubt. All right, don't affect the announcement of the results. Stand aside and wait. Lawless's voice came out of nowhere. Chapter 1904. It was obvious that Ling Xiao was still alive. This made Lawless uncomfortable, because he'd already made a bet with the liquor demon's sword. If he lost, he'd have to guarantee the safety of Ling Xiao and the rest. That was the same as being a bodyguard for free. Of course, he could go back on his word, but he couldn't bear the consequences. Naturally, he hated Ling Xiao and felt that it was Ling Xiao who'd put him in such a difficult situation. Announce the results. Ling Xiao raised his head to look at Lawless. Esteemed head judge, have you made a mistake? The treasure hunt hasn't ended yet, but you dare announce the results? So what if you're alive? Can your existence affect the top 5 rankings? Lawless gave a cold snort. Although he'd seen Ling Xiao come out alive, he still didn't believe that Ling Xiao could change the rankings. As for Lung Mei, it was even more impossible. You're a big shot. Many people listen to your every word. Don't dig your own grave and lose face. That'd be bad. Ling Xiao said mildly. Impudent. Do you think your results are better than Feng Fei and the rest? Lawless had been insulted multiple times today, so he was in a bad mood. His attitude was unyielding. It doesn't matter if my results are better than theirs. If Black Tortoise Temple can't even abide by the most basic rules, won't they become the laughingstock of the world? Ling Xiao's every word laid out the rules and principles in front of everyone. Although these things weren't worth much, they were still useful when there were many people around. Moreover, what if I really get first place? Are you going to kneel down and apologize to me, Lawless? If Black Tortoise Temple's reputation is damaged because of you, how can you make up for it? Ling Xiao looked at Lawless, his attitude cold and arrogant. Lawless was furious. Brat, you're too savage. If you really can get first place and surpass Feng Fei, what's wrong with me kneeling down to you? Hee, how would I dare to accept that? It wasn't that Ling Xiao didn't dare to accept it, but he felt that this condition was meaningless. He smiled and said, As long as the Black Tortoise Temple agrees to one condition of mine after this matter is settled. You're too arrogant. What qualifications do you have to negotiate with the Black Tortoise Temple? Lawless scolded loudly. So that's the case. The Black Tortoise Divine Palace disregarded the rules and destroyed the White Tiger Gathering. A minor character like me is not qualified to negotiate with you. In that case, let's not talk about it. When this matter spreads outside, I would like to see how the Black Tortoise Divine Palace will deal with itself. Ling Xiao had always believed that the Black Tortoise Temple might be the strongest force in the White Tiger mainland, but it was absolutely impossible for it to completely suppress all the other forces. Therefore, they also needed to win over talents. At the very least, they had to be fair on the surface. As expected, a crack suddenly appeared in the sky and a person stepped out. His cultivation level was on par with Lawless's. Junior brother, the sect head has decreed that you agree to Ling Xiao's conditions. After all, you broke the rules first. If Ling Xiao's results are better than Feng Fei's, then let him raise a condition. Of course, this condition can't be targeted at the Black Tortoise Temple. As soon as the person finished speaking, he stepped back into the crack and disappeared. Lawless's expression was extremely ugly, but he had no choice but to obey the sect head's orders right now. He was well aware of how powerful the Black Tortoise Temple's sovereign was. Many thanks to the Black Tortoise Temple for your wise decision. Ling Xiao smiled slightly and began to quietly wait for the results to be announced. That Brett really doesn't know life from death. If he doesn't get first place, he'll probably be destroyed for pestering others endlessly. Most of the people in the crowd looked down on Ling Xiao and thought that he was only using this occasion to put on airs. Because there were only 2 people's results, they were quickly tallied up and presented to the person announcing the results. That person looked at the results with an ugly expression. It was even uglier than when he saw Long Chin get 5th place. He couldn't decide whether to read it or not. Read it. In front of so many people, Lawless didn't dare to do anything. In the end, he was just an honored elder from the 13 halls of the Black Tortoise Temple. He wasn't a top figure. He had to listen to the sect head's words. Under the sect master were 2 sacred hall protectors and a vice sect master. What could he do? He could only admit defeat. There's a new result, so the previous rankings have been changed. Hearing the divine emissary's words, the audience gasped in surprise. The meaning behind his words was clear. He was clearly saying that Ling Xiao's results had changed the rankings. First place few. The divine emissary exhaled deeply, as if he was very nervous. This time his breathing eased his nerves. Ling Xiao. Hearing the name, Lawless' eyes suddenly glazed over. He looked at the ordinary-looking young man in the ring in disbelief. This kid was only 17 years old. Although he was going to be 18 soon, at his age he had actually gotten first place in the treasure hunt battle. It was simply unbelievable. He wasn't the only one who was surprised. Everyone was shocked, including Ling Xiao's friends. Even though they knew that Ling Xiao would be able to achieve very good results, they did not expect him to do so well. It was really too surprising. Ha 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 ha. This time Lawless has really embarrassed himself. Juma Sword laughed happily. Ling Xiao had once again surprised him and refreshed his expectations. He used to be afraid that his expectations of Ling Xiao were too high, but now he felt that his expectations of Ling Xiao were a little too low. This young man, this scary young man, was much more powerful than he had imagined. Ha ha ha, big brother, you are too awesome. You actually got first place. You have really made us proud. Long Chin slapped Ling Xiao's back hard and laughed loudly. Indeed, this is too surprising. Although I thought you might be a dark horse, I didn't expect you to be even darker than me. Sun Lingchan shook her head and smiled bitterly. Ling Xiao's results had really surprised her. I was lucky. Ling Xiao smiled. He said it was lucky, but in his heart he thought it was inevitable. From the very beginning, he had made a completely different choice from the others. Moreover, he had obtained the only divine-grade spiritual weapon from the space crack. If he was not first place, who else could be first? However, this was only the first place in the treasure hunt battle, not the first place in the white tiger meet, so he was not too excited. However, at this moment, a very discordant voice sounded. What are you excited about? It's not like you got first place in the white tiger meet. The voice came from the 100-eyed demon lord. Wu Longling Xiao looked at him with a smile and said, That's right, it's not the first place in the white tiger meet, but it's still better than someone being beaten out by my little girl, right? He had heard this from Cold Plum. Anyway, it was just one sentence, so it was convenient to talk about it. Chapter 1905. You're talking nonsense. The 100-eyed demon lord would never admit to such a thing. It was obvious that the crowd didn't believe Ling Xiao's words either. I'm talking nonsense. In any case, the Battle of Kings is about to begin. Soon enough, everyone will know who's talking nonsense. Ling Xiao was now very sure that Cold Plum was stronger than the 100-eyed demon, Lord Wulong. She was even slightly stronger than him when he didn't use his Tyrant martial soul. This was also why he thought that Cold Plum had been possessed. Besides him, there shouldn't be any changes to the rest of the rankings. Then, let's continue with the 7th place announcement. Lawless didn't want to continue watching Ling Xiao gloat, so he took the opportunity to speak. But the divine emissary had a strange expression. What's going on? The crowd looked at the divine emissary in confusion. Is there a change? Lawless asked in confusion. The divine emissary nodded. 2nd place goes to Cold Plum. What? This time, the cries of surprise were even louder than before. If Ling Xiao had been lucky enough to take 1st place, the crowd could still accept it. After all, he had displayed some formidable strength. But what was Cold Plum? She was just one of Ling Xiao's maidservants. What right did she have to take 2nd place? Are you sure you didn't see wrong? Lawless was so excited that he rushed over and snatched the report from the divine emissary's hands. He looked at it carefully for a long time before he could confirm that he hadn't seen wrong. He really couldn't understand what had happened in the necropolis of myriad demons for this woman's results to be so high. Although the crystal screen showed the detailed scores, it didn't show what the martial artists had obtained. This was driving him crazy. The Tianhai Holy Court, Water God Temple, Heavenly Demon Cult, and all the other martial artists who hated Ling Xiao had ugly expressions. Ling Xiao had taken 1st place. Cold Plum had taken 2nd place. Although he didn't know what special benefits would come from being 1st and 2nd in this treasure hunting battle, it still made him feel a little unhappy. Lord Referee, please don't be surprised. You said before that the ranking will have a special effect. The higher the ranking, the more benefits you will get, right? What are the benefits? Ling Xiao looked at Lawless and asked. What he was most concerned about now was not the Battle of the Kings. If he joined the Battle of the Kings now, he wouldn't be a match for Feng Fei, Tianhai Tyranny, or Lei Lai without using his Tyrant Sky martial spirit. Even if he encountered other top geniuses, it would be difficult for him to win. Therefore, during the gap between the 2nd and 3rd battles, he had to increase his strength as much as possible. If there were any benefits that could increase his strength by ranking higher in the 2nd battle, of course, he wouldn't want to miss it. That's right. I did say that I can tell you now. After the 2nd battle, the top 10 martial artists will have the right to choose who to fight and who not to fight. Of course, this only refers to the first few rounds of the competition. In the end, when facing an expert, it is still unavoidable. Lawless explained. TCH, that's it? Ling Xiao was thoroughly disappointed. If that was the case, why did he have to fight so hard? That's not it. After the treasure hunt, the top 10 martial artists will each receive a Rubik's Cube. If you're lucky, you'll get a great opportunity from the Rubik's Cube. Lawless didn't want to let Ling Xiao be so smug. However, he had to say something like this because it was a rule. Otherwise, the Black Tortoise Sacred Hall would naturally change the head referee. Interesting. Ling Xiao nodded, and only then did he leave in satisfaction. He really didn't care who his opponent was in the final battle. He only cared about what benefits he could get if he took 1st place in the 2nd battle. Master, that spatial crack is actually related to my origins. I'm not someone from the profound world. Sitting in the middle of the crowd, surrounded by their own people, Cold Plum lowered her voice to speak to Ling Xiao. Oh! Ling Xiao didn't stop Cold Plum from continuing. Since Cold Plum wanted to tell him everything he wouldn't reject. The place I used to live in is called the Feather World. It's the same as the Profound World, a separate plane. Later on, a strong army barged into the Feather World and started massacring the Feathermen. They were all burly giants and called themselves the Sky Clan. They came from the Heaven Realm and had strong fighting power. Since then, the Feather World started a war that lasted for tens of thousands of years. I'm the princess of a small country in the Feather World. It's called the Black Feather Nation, and there are only about 100,000 citizens. In order to protect the Feathermen of the Black Feather Nation, Feather King thought of a way, which was to separate the Black Feather Nation from the Feather World. Failed? Ling Xiao suddenly asked. If it wasn't for the failure, he believed that Cold Plum wouldn't have been sold as a slave and the situation in the spatial crack wouldn't have been so miserable. A traitor appeared in the Black Feather Nation. In the end, Feather King, who is my father, resisted with all his might with the army and sent away tens of thousands of Feathermen. Unfortunately, most of them were normal people and children who got separated in the spatial crack. When I came to the profound world, I was quickly captured as a slave. Cold Plum nodded. While Cold Plum was talking, Lawless had already finished telling them about the events after the treasure hunt and continued to announce the rankings. Ling Xiao is first, Cold Plum is second, Feng Fei is third, Tianhai Tyranny is fourth, Lei Lai is fifth, Sun Lingchan is sixth, Longqin is seventh. These were the results of the previous announcements, plus the two dark horses, Ling Xiao and Cold Plum. You obtained these memories from the crack, didn't you? Ling Xiao suddenly asked. In that space, I not only got these memories, but also the inheritance that my father left me. It allowed my strength to increase by leaps and bounds, so I definitely wasn't possessed. Cold Plum emphasized, I believe you. Whether you're a black feather man or a human, it doesn't change anything to me. Speaking of which, there are still changes. At the very least, you can help me more. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Cold Plum smiled, revealing a bright smile that had never been seen before. She was most afraid that Ling Xiao would dislike her after finding out her true identity, but now it seemed that her worries were unnecessary. Ranked 8th, Zui Linglong. At this moment, the divine emissary finally announced the 8th ranked martial artist, Zui Linglong of the Jingyi School. So far, the Heavenly Dynasty Empire had occupied 3 of the top 8 spots, which was even more than the Jingyi School. Even Ling Xiao hadn't expected this result. Originally, he thought that it would be good enough to have him in the top 10. But Longqin and Cold Plum's performances had completely exceeded his expectations, making him feel gratified. But the following rankings were a little boring, with almost no suspense. Starting from Zui Linglong, it was Xiao Budian, Heavenly Wolf Gentleman, Silver Wolf Princess, Hundred-Eyed Demon Lord Wulong, Qingqiu Fairy, Qingqiu Lihua, Crown Princess, Lei Tun, Lei Meng, and so on. Chapter 1906. In the rankings, apart from the 4 dark horses, Ling Xiao, Cold Plum, Sun Lingchan, and Longqin, the rest of the rankings were dominated by 13 top geniuses. However, this also showed that the famous people weren't just for show. It really wasn't easy for Ling Xiao and the other dark horses. Kid, the ranking in the treasure hunting battle doesn't mean anything. Maybe your luck is better, but your strength still isn't enough. In the Battle of the Kings, just wait to be crushed. Hundred-Eyed Demon Lord Wulong had suffered too much at the hands of Ling Xiao and had always wanted revenge. However, in the Battle of the Kings, Ling Xiao had the right to choose his opponent. Even if he wanted to fight, he might not be able to meet him. This made him very angry. As for the others who hated Ling Xiao, they all had the same thoughts. Originally, Tyranny Heavenly Seas had planned to send Ling Xiao to the afterlife in the Battle of the Kings, but now it seemed that this time would have to be pushed back. Sun Lingchan, you're very good. Mu Wanchuang seemed to have always regarded Sun Lingchan as her opponent. This time she was ranked 20th, so she wasn't in a good mood. However, she didn't feel that she was any worse than Sun Lingchan. She was just unlucky. I've been waiting for you. It's time for us to decide who's the number 1 female genius of the Heavenly Seas Empire. Sun Lingchan laughed. I say, Miss Sun, you're too unambitious. Is Tyranny Heavenly Seas really that hard to beat? Ling Xiao teased. You're wrong. It's not that he's hard to beat, it's you. Sun Lingchan laughed. With you here, I can only settle for second place. You really dare to praise me? Ling Xiao laughed bitterly. I dare to praise you, but you don't dare to admit it? Sun Lingchan asked. Why wouldn't I dare? Tyranny heavenly seas will soon be defeated by me. Ling Xiao revealed a cold smile. That's more like the Ling Xiao I know, haha. Sun Lingchan looked at Ling Xiao. She actually had some different thoughts, causing her cheeks to blush. Soon, all the results were announced. In this treasure-hunting battle, although they had the ability to teleport out of danger at any time, there were still 8 people who died in battle. 78 people and the remaining 70. And because of their poor results, the last 4 were also eliminated. Therefore, only 66 martial artists were left to participate in the final battle. At this time, all the participating cultivators were divided into small groups. They were either sitting down to rest or discussing something. Ling Zhao's side was the most lively. Even though Mou and Zhu Xiaocong came out very early, they were still lucky enough to get a place in the final battle. One was ranked 66th, and the other was ranked 65th. Many people secretly scolded them for being so lucky. As for the others, they also successfully advanced to the next battle. Looking carefully, the Celestial Empire that was originally looked down upon by everyone was actually filled with talents. Not only were there 3 martial artists in the top 10, but Blue Snow and Dan Feng were also ranked pretty well. In addition to Sun Lingchan, who was on good terms with Ling Xiao, this force was really hard to ignore. These people burst into laughter from time to time. It seemed that everyone was so relaxed and didn't feel any pressure at all. It was unknown whether it was ignorance or self-confidence. In the final battle, you will know what cruelty is. Lawless snorted coldly in his heart as he looked at Ling Xiao and the others, who were full of smiles. He was a dignified rebirth realm powerhouse, but he actually suffered in front of these people. This enmity was probably formed. Congratulations to the 66 people who have remained, 66 geniuses. You will successfully advance to the next battle, the Battle of the Kings. Lawless's voice sounded again, and it was very loud, as if he wanted to suppress the laughter of Ling Xiao and the others. As his voice rang out, the originally noisy crowd immediately stopped. The entire stage became silent. This was because all the cultivators knew that the Battle of the Kings was the main event of the White Tiger meet. It was also the direct confrontation that would determine the final victor. Whoever had the last laugh would laugh the best. No matter what happened in the first 2 battles, the final battle would be the focus of attention. Like before, you will have 1 day and 1 night to rest. Go back and rest now. Tomorrow morning, this place will be the final battle. I hope you will not be afraid. After Lawless finished his announcement, he turned and left. There were many things that he needed to report to the higher-ups. This time, Ling Xiao arranged for the Liquor Demon Sword and Hong Qi to protect Dan Feng and the others as they headed to the Sanjing Shrine to rest and cultivate. As for himself, he once again headed to the Myriad Demon Graveyard. He liked that place very much and planned to spend the day and night there. He didn't know if he could raise his cultivation base, but he had to learn to work hard. However, just as he was about to enter the Myriad Demon Graveyard, the Liquor Demon Sword sent a soul message. Something has happened. Come back immediately. If the Liquor Demon Sword was so anxious, it must be something big. Ling Xiao didn't dare delay and hurried back to the Sanjing Shrine. However, he found that the place was already in ruins. Hong Qi was protecting Dan Feng and the others as they fought a bloody battle with a group of black-clothed men. This group of black-clothed men was extremely powerful, and there was nothing special about them. However, the Liquor Demon Sword was nowhere to be found, and so was Cold Plum. I'm here. Go after them. They kidnapped Cold Plum. Hong Qi shouted as he slapped a black-clothed man to death. Ling Xiao opened his Tai Chi eye and saw a person carrying the unconscious Cold Plum a dozen miles away and speeding away. Cold Plum's cultivation base had just broken through, but she hadn't gotten used to her new abilities, so she wasn't very strong in actual combat. The martial artist who was holding her hostage was only at the 17th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Ling Xiao didn't know what had happened, so he sped up and chased after them. Along the way, he received the Liquor Demon Sword's soul message. I'm being held back. These guys are from the Black Tortoise Shrine. They work for someone called Aoi Only. I don't know anything else. Aoi Only? They seem to be from the Aoi clan. These guys actually dared to kidnap a martial artist participating in the White Tiger Gathering during the White Tiger Gathering. Their background was very strong. He didn't believe that Aoi Only was the mastermind. This person should be a genius from the Aoi clan, but his cultivation base was at most at the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm, which was on par with Aoi Fan. Even Lawless didn't dare to make a move during the break. So how could a mere Aoi Only dare? There must be something else behind this. Ling Xiao didn't know how many dangers there were ahead, but he couldn't just ignore Cold Plum's situation. Moreover, this matter was very likely targeted at him. If he didn't save her, how could he, Ling Xiao, talk about conquering the world? He would simply become a piece of trash. He chased with all his might and arrived in front of a floating shrine. He watched as that person entered. Just as he was about to barge in, he saw a person appear outside the shrine. You are Ling Xiao. That's right. You are Aoi Only? That's right. Our young master wants you to go in. He has something to say to you. Aoi Only said indifferently, as an enemy, I want to remind you not to be stupid. I don't want you to die in the hands of our young master. I want to personally skin you alive. Chapter 1907. Where's Cold Plum? Ling Xiao asked. He didn't care about Sora Aoi's threat. He only cared about how Cold Plum was doing right now. You'll know when you see our young master. Sora Aoi turned and walked inside, no longer speaking to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth and followed him inside. Stepping into the shrine, it was as if he had arrived in another dimension. Their auras were both mysterious and holy. This place wasn't simple at all. But Ling Xiao wasn't in the mood to care about this. He followed Sora Aoi to a magnificent hall. Inside the hall, there were all sorts of strange flowers and plants. The air was especially fresh and enchanting. 2 large snow lions were lying there yawning. After Ling Xiao entered, he opened his eyes and glanced at them. Then he closed his eyes again. Leaning against the snow lions was a young man in his early 30s. His aura was similar to Fan Ruohai's, but he was obviously more domineering. His gaze was filled with the aura of a tyrant who wanted to tame the world. In comparison, Fan Ruohai hid his aura better. Young master, I've brought the person. Aoi Yugo respectfully kneeled towards the young man and said, you can stand to the side first. I have a few words to say to this, Mr. Ling Xiao. The young man didn't stand up. His eyes were closed the entire time, as if he didn't feel the need to look at the person in front of him. As you command. Sora Aoi stood to the side and stared at Ling Xiao. As long as Ling Xiao did anything improper, he would act. Ling Xiao, I didn't call you here for anything else. I just wanted to inform you that your servant girl, Cold Plum, I want her. The young man didn't open his eyes, but spoke casually as if he was talking about an ordinary matter. You want her? Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. Although he could feel a strong aura from this young man, his strength shouldn't be comparable to Feng Fei, Tianhai Tyranny, or Lei Lai. What was it that made this young man so arrogant? That's right, this young master wants it. Also, you should have obtained a divine-grade spirit weapon in the Myriad Devil Graveyard, right? Hand it over as well. This will be beneficial to you. The young man continued. What benefits can I get if I hand over the divine-grade spiritual artifact? Ling Xiao asked. Benefits? Since when did you have the misconception that you can negotiate with this young master? This young master won't kill you. Letting you obediently hand over the item is already the best thing I can do for you." The young man said indifferently, "Really? What if I refuse?" Ling Xiao knew that there was nothing to talk about with this person. If he wanted to save Cold Plum, he could only subdue this person first. As he spoke, he walked forward. Aoi Yui also walked over vigilantly, attempting to block him from the young man's side. Although he knew the young man's strength, this Ling Xiao was not someone to be trifled with. He absolutely did not dare to underestimate him. However, Ling Xiao did not even look at him. His eyes were fixed on the young man. The young man's strength was very strong. The two snow lions beside him were not weak either. It was impossible to take him down in one strike. It seemed that he had to use the Tyrant martial spirit. Even if his secret was exposed, he, Ling Xiao, could not allow anything to happen to Cold Plum. A man who could not even protect his own woman was too useless. Impudent! When Aoi Yui saw that Ling Xiao was ignoring him, he could not help but fly into a rage. He waved his fists and directly smashed them towards Ling Xiao's body. "If you refuse, only death awaits you. Aoi Yui, don't hold back. Kill him." The young man did not seem to be interested in talking nonsense with Ling Xiao. After killing Ling Xiao, as long as he could obtain Ling Xiao's storage ring, he would naturally be able to obtain the divine great spirit weapon. Yes. Hearing the young man's order, Aoi Yui's killing intent became even stronger. He already had enmity with Ling Xiao. Not only did Ling Xiao kill his little sister, he even snatched away his Aoi family's Aoi shrine, causing his father to be humiliated. Using this opportunity, he naturally wanted to take revenge. Boom! The terrifying fists directly smashed onto Ling Xiao's body. However, in the next moment, Aoi Yui's expression changed. "Idiot, you clearly know that I have a divine grade spirit weapon, and you still dare to approach me?" Ling Xiao's body was originally incomparably tough. Relying on his mystic world physique, even if he were to receive Aoi Yui's fist head-on, he would at most be injured. Right now, he was still wearing the divine grade spirit weapon, colored glass armor. When Aoi Yui's fist landed on his body, it did not have any effect. Kill! Taking advantage of Aoi Yui's shock, Ling Xiao suddenly punched out with his fists. His fist had already accumulated strength. The reason why he ignored Aoi Yui was because he wanted to wait for him to fall into his trap. Crack! The sound of bones shattering could be heard. Ling Xiao directly unleashed 1,500 Imperial Heaven-Earth power. This power was comparable to the full power attack of a 17th level Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Aoi Yui had just finished his attack and did not have time to form a defense. After being hit by this fist, how could he not die? All the bones in his body shattered as he was sent flying. He crashed heavily into the wall and slid to the ground, becoming a pile of meat paste. After struggling for a moment, he completely lost all signs of life. "Aoi!" The young man also exclaimed. It was obvious that he did not expect this result. It was too fast. A martial artist at the peak of the 17th level of the Yin-Yang realm was killed in a single blow. Even if it was him, he still felt a little scared. Ling Xiao exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Actually, this attack had a lot to do with luck. He was more fortunate that he had misjudged Aoi Yui's cultivation level. He previously thought that Aoi Yui was probably at the same cultivation level as Aoi Fan, the 18th level Yin-Yang realm. Therefore, when he attacked, he used a power that could injure an 18th level Yin-Yang realm martial artist. However, when he truly attacked Aoi Yui, he realized that he was only at the peak of the 17th level Yin-Yang realm. He was still far from the 18th level Yin-Yang realm. Therefore, the punch that was supposed to injure him became a killing blow. After killing Aoi Yui, only the young man and the two snow lions were left in the hall. One of the snow lions stood up and bared its teeth at Ling Xiao. It looked very ferocious. However, Ling Xiao did not look at it. Instead, he stared at the young man and said, Let go of Cold Plum, and I can pretend that nothing happened today. Otherwise, even if I have to destroy this place, I will take her away." Ling Xiao knew that he was not strong enough to fight against the rebirth realm martial artists in the temple. However, he had his own advantage, which was that he was proficient in formations and arrays. The various subhalls of the Black Tortoise Temple were connected by arrays. If he interfered, the Black Tortoise Temple would suffer great losses. Moreover, he would be completely exposed to those opponents. He had the ability to do so. Moreover, he stored a large amount of formation refining stones and materials for setting up arrays and arrays in his storage ring. He was afraid that something unexpected would happen. Chapter 1908. Hee, you're really confident. Do you know where this place is? Do you really think that you can show off here after killing a trash? The young man smiled disdainfully and said, "Remember, my name is Xian Feng. I'm from the Black Tortoise Continent. I'm not afraid to tell you that the Black Tortoise Temple is just an outpost of the Black Tortoise Continent's Deep Earth sect in the White Tiger Continent. And I'm a disciple of the Deep Earth sect. You can't afford to provoke me, not to mention that you can't kill me. Even if you really kill me, you'll definitely be hunted down by the Black Tortoise Temple and even the entire Deep Earth sect. Can you survive? The name is not bad, but the person is too trashy." Ling Xiao certainly knew what kind of enemy he was facing. He didn't expect that behind the Black Tortoise Temple was actually the Deep Earth sect. Although he hadn't seen anyone from the Black Tortoise Continent, the overall strength of the Black Tortoise Continent's martial artists was obviously higher than the White Tiger Continent's martial artists. Most of the White Tiger Continent's top martial artists were just ordinary people when they arrived at the Black Tortoise Continent. Of course, there were exceptions, but very few. But so what? For Cold Plum, not to mention the Deep Earth sect, he really dared to become enemies with the entire Black Tortoise Continent. Hand over Cold Plum, or I'll make sure you never return to the Black Tortoise Continent. Ling Xiao's voice became cold. Since he came, he didn't plan to go back empty-handed. "I really don't know if you're naive or stupid. You can't even defeat my pet. How can you fight me? What's more, although this temple exists alone, as long as I'm willing, I can immediately ask for help from other temples. All the temples are connected by teleportation arrays. Do you think you can survive?" As Xian Feng spoke, he actually picked up a goblet from the table and drank a cup of wine happily, as if he didn't put Ling Xiao in his eyes at all. However, Xian Feng didn't notice that a black shadow poured some powdery things into the wine. Although Ling Xiao wasn't afraid of death, he wasn't a reckless person. The strength of the Xian Feng in front of him was too strong. Even if he used the Sky Tyrant martial spirit, he might not be able to defeat him. Plus, his main purpose was to save people. There was no need to keep fighting with this guy. That was a complete waste of time. Moreover, just as Xian Feng said, the divine palaces were all connected by teleportation arrays. If the commotion was too big, then it would surely attract a large number of reinforcements. If it was an ordinary cultivator, then it would be fine. However, if it was a rebirth realm cultivator, then Ling Xiao would really die. Therefore, he chose a special method. It was more sinister, but it was very effective. The powdery powder was a type of poison he had obtained from Sun Linchan. It was called Yin powder. This was a poison that even Yin realm cultivators could not resist. Once they drank it, even if they did not die, their cultivation would collapse. Ling Xiao did not expect the Yin powder to completely cripple Xian Feng, but as long as it could weaken Xian Feng, he would have a chance. The effects of the drug were gradually taking effect, so Ling Xiao was not in a hurry to act. Even though he was burning with anxiety at this moment, he also understood that there were some things that couldn't be rushed. If he was too anxious, it would instead spoil things. Snow Lion, kill him! Xian Feng did not notice the existence of the yin-yang powder. This was because the poison was colorless and tasteless. Even if one consumed it, they would not feel anything. Only when one was preparing to circulate their internal energy to fight would they notice that they were poisoned? At that time, it would be too late. Xian Feng's 2 snow lions were stronger than Sora Aoi. Although they were also at the 17th level of the Yin-Yang realm, their bodies were stronger than Sora Aoi's. Their strength was also more terrifying than Sora Aoi's. Therefore, he felt that Sora Aoi might not be able to kill Ling Xiao, but his snow lions could definitely do it. Roar! One of the snow lions roared, then opened its bloody mouth and pounced towards Ling Xiao. Even a beast dares to act rashly. Scram! Ling Xiao was instantly enraged. His body instantly transformed into the raging thunder, heavenly dragon form. The power of the Imperial Heaven Queen of Earth circulated on his dragon claws as he struck towards the snow lion. Kacha! At the same time, terrifying thunder and lightning resounded. Ling Xiao did not defend at all. He actually used all his strength to attack and exchanged a claw with the snow lion. The snow lion's claw clawed his head, while his dragon claw clawed the snow lion's neck. This was a battle where one's life was on the line. Not to mention Xian Feng's expression. Even the snow lion was astonished. It did not understand why a mere human dared to fight it head-on. Swish! A terrifying sound resounded. Ling Xiao's heavenly dragon claw tore the snow lion's head off. However, the snow lion's attack did not leave any scars on his body. Too powerful, with this colored, glazed treasure armor. Even warriors below the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm would not be able to hurt me, as expected of a divine grade spiritual artifact. Ling Xiao was really glad that he obtained such a treasure from the 1,000 Devils' graveyard. Otherwise, when facing the terrifying snow lion, even if he did not die, there would be many scars on his head. How unsightly would that be? Bastard! How dare you hurt my snow lion? I'll kill you! Xian Feng was not even that agitated when Aoi Weiwei died. However, when he saw that the snow lion was killed, he was enraged. He immediately stood up and circulated his inner force, wanting to kill Ling Xiao. However, at that moment, his face turned pale and cold sweat flowed down his forehead. A horrified expression appeared on his face. Is your body weak and unable to circulate the yin-yang force? Ling Xiao looked at Xian Feng with a smile. He felt that the current him was more like a villain. That evil smile caused Xian Feng to be extremely terrified. What did you do to me? Xian Feng sat back down and asked in shock. Hee, I can tell that you're trash from the Black Tortoise continent. You must be used to being a tyrant and have never participated in a real life and death battle. You don't even know that I put the yin-yang powder in your wine. Ling Xiao walked towards Xian Feng with a smile. The other snow lion actually turned around and fled. Come back! Xian Feng looked at the escaping snow lion in despair. His face was extremely ugly. Tell me, where is Cold Plum? Why do you want to capture her? If you can't explain it clearly, I'll kill you. Ling Xiao said fiercely. He was not interested in killing Xian Feng. His main goal now was to find Cold Plum. As long as he could save Cold Plum, he did not care about anything else. You're delusional. I don't believe that you dare to make a move in this shrine. As long as you dare to make a move, your country, your friends, and you will all die. Xian Feng looked at Ling Xiao fiercely. His face was extremely sinister. Many people have said this to me before. However, they always died earlier than me. Ling Xiao said indifferently, but don't worry. As long as you tell me where Cold Plum is and return her to me, I will spare your life. Chapter 1909. Black Tortoise Temple, one of the Divine Guards. The Divine Guards were in charge of guarding the Black Tortoise Temple. Ordinary Divine Guards had to be at least at Yin-Yang Realm Level 12 and Yin-Yang Realm Level 17. The Divine Guard Captain could be at Yin-Yang Realm Level 18, Half-Step Rebirth Realm, or even Rebirth Realm. They were a terrifying existence in the Black Tortoise Temple that could not be ignored. At that moment, a snow lion suddenly ran out from one of the divine guards. The snow lion bared its fangs and claws as it roared anxiously. This attracted the attention of the divine guards. This seems to be young master Xianfeng's snow lion. Among the divine guards, there were naturally those who were in charge of guarding the temple where Xianfeng was. Although young master Xianfeng had suddenly gone crazy and asked them to leave temporarily, saying that he wanted to do something interesting and did not want them to be there. However, the snow lion's abnormal behavior still made them feel that something was amiss. Young master Xianfeng is in danger. Quick! Go to the Black Tortoise Temple. The Black Tortoise Temple was specially built for Xianfeng. Although Xianfeng was not very powerful in the Black Tortoise mainland, he had a noble status. As his family felt that he was not talented, he was sent to the Black Tortoise Temple as a supervisor. Although his cultivation was not at Rebirth Realm, his status was definitely not low. Even the sect master of the Black Tortoise Temple had to be wary of him. If anything happened to Xianfeng, the entire Black Tortoise Temple would be in trouble. In just a short while, a dozen figures followed the snow lion and headed towards the Black Tortoise Temple. These dozen figures were the divine guards stationed at the Black Tortoise Temple. Protecting Xianfeng was their duty. If anything happened to Xianfeng, they would definitely die. Hence, they were more nervous than anyone else. Snow Lion, go find Lord Xianyi, quick! Perhaps the divine guard captain was worried that the dozen of them would not be able to deal with the assassin, so he shouted at the Snow Lion. The Snow Lion was a Yin-Yang Realm level 17 beast. Naturally, it understood humans. Otherwise, it would not have run over to ask for help. When it heard the call, it immediately ran away. Xianyi was the divine guard captain of the Black Tortoise Temple's 13 temples, and his cultivation was at half-step Rebirth Realm. If he was willing to help, no matter what kind of assassin he was, it would not be able to escape. After the Snow Lion left, the dozen or so figures sped towards the god of Black Wind Palace. At that moment, there were only 2 corpses and Ling Xiao and Xianfeng in the Xianfeng Sacred Palace. One of the 2 corpses was Aoi Yugo. The other corpse belonged to the Snow Lion. Ling Xiao, don't be delusional. The Lung Mei that you want is probably already dead. That's because I'm not capturing her for myself. Instead, I captured her for someone else. Even I don't dare to offend that person. Not only is his cultivation base powerful, but his status is also revered. Xianfeng looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said faintly. It seemed that he was not afraid of Ling Xiao's threat at all. Are you stalling for time? Ling Xiao's cold eyes flickered for a moment before he punched out. However, the strange thing was that a layer of golden light appeared on Xianfeng's body and blocked his fist, leaving Xianfeng unscathed. Haha, don't be surprised. Even you have the colored glaze armor. As a disciple of the Deep Earth sect, how could I not have 1 or 2 protective treasures? Xianfeng laughed disdainfully. You're dead today, and you're going to die with your woman, Cold Plum. Do you hear that? There are footsteps coming from afar. Those are the Black Tortoise Temple's divine guards. Ling Xiao frowned and was not affected by Xianfeng's laughter. He continued to punch the golden light and said coldly, Any treasure's defense must have a limit if it's not its own use. How many punches do you think I'll need for this defense to collapse? Hearing this, Xianfeng's face instantly turned ugly. Obviously, Ling Xiao's words hit the nail on the head. What's the use of killing me? I've already said that it's not my idea to capture Cold Plum. It's an order from that big shot. Your maidservant is a black feather citizen from the feather world. Don't you know that? Xianfeng said loudly. He was indeed a little afraid, because no one would wish for him to die. Black feather citizen from the feather world? Ling Xiao was shocked. He only knew about Cold Plum's identity not long ago. He did not expect it to be discovered so quickly. However, Although he was shocked, he did not stop his movements. Instead, he punched harder and harder. The golden light began to distort and become thinner and thinner. Ling Xiao, don't be stubborn. Is it worth it for a woman? I heard that you won first place in the treasure hunt and will participate in the final battle of the White Tiger meet tomorrow. You have a bright future ahead of you. Do you really want to destroy it with your own hands? Xian Feng almost roared, because he could not move at all. If the golden light was completely shattered, then he would definitely die. A bright future? Sorry, if you want me to use it to exchange with my friend, I don't need it. Ling Xiao suddenly pulled out Ice's fury. Then, a layer of bright golden light was attached to Ice's fury. The divine radiance sword shone in the temple and suddenly pierced towards the golden light. Chi, chi, chi. Small cracks began to appear on the golden light. Madman, you're a madman. You really don't want to live. Even if you kill me, you can't save that woman. Xian Feng roared loudly. You don't need to care about that. After killing you, I will personally destroy the Black Tortoise Temple. No matter who that person is, I will make him pay the price. Ling Xiao's voice was incomparably cold, like a devil's roar making people shudder. Quickly protect young Master Xian Feng. Quick! Suddenly there was a commotion outside the door. It seemed that many powerful warriors had arrived. Ling Xiao frowned. He did not expect these people to come so quickly. Xian Feng's defensive treasure was really strong. He had already used his strongest power other than the Sky Tyrant martial spirit. However, he was still unable to destroy it. It seemed that this treasure was not an ordinary item. It might not even be Xian Feng's, but was given to him by someone else. The warriors of the Black Tortoise Continent were indeed extravagant. Ha ha ha, you're dead. Ling Xiao, you're dead. Xian Feng heard the shouts outside and immediately revealed a surprised expression. The reinforcements had arrived. Although his defensive treasure did not seem to be able to hold on for long, Ling Xiao had completely lost his chance. This time the winner was him and not Ling Xiao. Do you really think so? No matter how many people come today, I will kill you. As Ling Xiao spoke, his body began to change and entered the heavenly demon incarnation. He planned to start a massacre. Puchi! The terrifying sword once again pierced towards the golden light. However, at this time, a black shadow pounced over. Its speed was surprisingly fast and blocked in front of Xian Feng. This sword directly pierced through the black shadow. Unfortunately, it did not pierce the golden light. Chapter 1910. Young Master Xian Feng Run. The divine guard who was stabbed to death by Ling Xiao was a level 17 Yin-Yang Realm divine guard. He was best at movement techniques. This time, he only wanted to make a great contribution. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao's sword to be so sharp that it pierced through his body in an instant. He did not have any chance to escape. How could this be? His eyes gradually blurred and his pupils dilated. The pitiful divine guard fell limply onto Ling Xiao's long sword and lost all signs of life. Stop! More divine guards arrived at Xian Feng Sacred Palace. Who are you? How dare you attack young Master Xian Feng? Do you want to die? Their eyes were filled with fear. In Xian Feng's Sacred Palace, other than a few corpses, there was Xian Feng, who was lying motionless, and a monster. The monster was covered in black scales. It was 4 to 5 meters tall, and its terrifying body was filled with an evil aura. In particular, its pair of dark golden pupils were eerie and terrifying. It was as though one could shorten one's lifespan by 10 years just by looking at it. The eerie pupils were filled with coldness, ruthlessness, and terrifying murderous intent. Die. Another 2 divine guards charged at Ling Xiao. They watched as Ling Xiao killed their comrade and held young Master Xian Feng hostage. How could they be slow? The 2 divine guards were both level 16 Yin-Yang Realm. They held 2 steel swords and slashed at Ling Xiao's vital points on both sides. The ferocious sword Qi created a terrifying gust of wind in the sacred palace. 2 cracks appeared on the ground because of it. However, when the attack landed on Ling Xiao's shoulder, it made a sound of metal clashing. It did not cause any damage. "Get lost!" A furious roar came from the demon-like monster. The monster brandished a long sword flickering with golden radiance. The 2 divine guards were sliced in half right down the middle. They died in agony in disbelief. How could these divine guards know that Ling Xiao's cultivation had already reached the peak of the 14th level of the Yin-Yang realm when he was in the spatial rift? Now that he had transformed into the heavenly demon avatar, his strength had skyrocketed. Not to mention the 16th level of the Yin-Yang realm. Even the 17th level of the Yin-Yang realm was nothing in front of him. What are you waiting for? Quickly kill him, this devil! Xianfeng shouted. The golden light on his body was about to shatter, so he didn't dare to take any more of Ling Xiao's attacks. He could only shout for help, hoping that others could help him kill Ling Xiao. He hated Ling Xiao to the core. He wanted to see Ling Xiao die in front of him. Upon hearing Xianfeng's shout, the remaining divine guards did not dare to be negligent. More than a dozen of them charged forward together. Both of them were no match for Ling Xiao. They did not dare to take the risk of facing this monster one-on-one. If they were not careful, they might end up losing their lives. At the same time, a large number of divine guards and battle beasts swarmed in from all directions. The battle beasts were ferocious beasts cultivated by the Black Tortoise Temple to assist in battles, just like Xianfeng's 2 snow lions. Similar to warriors, there were strong and weak ones. Compared to wild beasts, they naturally knew how to listen to orders. 100? No, 1,000? No, there's more. Ling Xiao could feel that in a short period of time, there were already more than 1,000 reinforcements. However, these reinforcements were far weaker than the previous dozen divine guards. The 17th level divine guard had already been killed by him. 2 16th level divine guards had also died. The rest were basically below the 15th level. Ling Xiao did not need to care at all. Even if he were to be attacked directly, he could completely ignore it. Because he had the mystic world physique and the colored glaze armor, he could completely ignore their attacks. His current target was Xianfeng. Kacha! Another attack landed on the golden light. The crack on the golden light became bigger, and it was about to shatter completely. In another 1 or 2 attacks, Xianfeng would be completely exposed to Ling Xiao's sword. At the same time, more than a dozen attacks landed on his body at the same time. The light produced by various elements shone in the entire temple with all kinds of colors. Horrifying flames, swift and fierce blade wind, ice-cold frost. All kinds of attacks revealed a fatal aura. All get lost for me. Facing these dozen attacks, Ling Xiao did not have the intention to dodge at all. He even put away icy fury. The horrifying sky devil claw blasted out towards those dozen people, turning into dozens of fist shadows. Those dozen divine guards hurriedly used their weapons to block in a hurry. Although they wanted to protect Xianfeng, they were not willing to die in vain. Rumble! Kacha! To everyone's horror, those weapons actually did not have any advantage against Ling Xiao's Sky Devil Claw. One by one, the weapons were shattered instantly. There was practically no defensive effect at all. Ling Xiao's Sky Devil Claw actually grabbed the hearts of those dozen martial artists at the same time. Die! Ling Xiao roared. Then, all the claw shadows returned to his body. Dozens of hearts fell on the ground, dripping with blood. Those martial artists screamed in horror, letting out ghost-like screams. And the current Ling Xiao was simply like a demon bathed in blood, making people tremble in fear. Monster! The divine guards looked at Ling Xiao in horror and actually did not dare to take any action for a moment. This monster was too terrifying, killing people without batting an eyelid. Furthermore, his means were extremely cruel. Even they were frightened. But the divine guards did not dare to move. But that Xianfeng's snow lion was very brave. It actually brought several battle beasts and charged towards Ling Xiao together. Smack! Behind Ling Xiao, a horrifying tail covered with black scales swung out fiercely. This was one of the most obvious characteristics of a sky devil. The horrifying tail was also a powerful weapon. It was even more terrifying than the hands. With just a sound, four battle beasts were actually whipped, flying out at the same time. Their bodies exploded in the air, causing a rain of blood. The entire temple was filled with the smell of blood and thick, murderous aura. Devil. This guy must be a devil from beyond the heavens. Kill him. Absolutely cannot let him tarnish the glory of the temple. Among the crowd, a voice shouted loudly. However, the person who shouted did not dare to move forward. He could only shout there, hoping that others would send themselves to their deaths. More and more people gathered around Xianfeng Temple. From more than 1,000, it had now increased to more than 2,000. Not only the divine guards, but there were also some martial artists who cultivated in Xianfeng Temple. At this moment, Ling Xiao had transformed into a sky devil. His body was covered in blood. Almost no one knew that this person was the dazzling star of the white tiger meat. In the eyes of these people, this was a devil who attempted to assassinate young Master Xianfeng. Those who knew Ling Xiao's identity had basically been killed. Xianfeng was the only one who knew, but he was already scared silly. He, who had been poisoned by the yin-yang powder, could not use any of his strength. Facing Ling Xiao's pursuit, he had no other way. If others could not save him, then only death awaited him. Another group of people surrounded Ling Xiao. Then, 2 16th level yin-yang realm martial artists hurriedly rushed to Xianfeng's side. Chapter 1911. Young Master Xianfeng, let's go to a safe place first. The 2 16th level yin-yang realm divine guards grabbed Xianfeng and said. However, as soon as they spoke, a terrifying black shadow charged at them. These two people were worthy of being 16th level yin-yang realm martial artists. Their reactions were extremely fast. Protecting Xianfeng in the middle of them, the two of them joined forces to attack the black shadow. Unfortunately, even though they had destroyed the black shadow together, they could not escape. The black shadow was merely Ling Xiao's son of shadow. The real Ling Xiao had already appeared in front of one of the divine guards. The terrifying sky demon claw slashed at the divine guards, and the divine guard's head exploded like a watermelon. Ling Xiao was using his actions to tell these people that whoever dared to help Xianfeng would die. It would be a tragic death. However, the divine guards of the Black Tortoise Divine Temple were truly unafraid of death. Each and every one of them charged towards Ling Xiao as though they did not care about their own lives. Ling Xiao's footsteps were gradually hindered, and Xianfeng was carried far away. Ling Xiao was anxious when he saw that. The only person who knew about Cold Plum situation was Xianfeng. If Xianfeng escaped, it would be useless no matter how many people he killed. At the crucial moment, he unleashed his full combat power. Eye of the Tomb of the God of Sin, Skeleton General. A huge eye opened in the sky, and a door to the Tomb of the God of Sin was born from the huge eye. Rumble. A terrifying sound was heard, and the Skeleton General stepped out of the Tomb of the God of Sin. An army of skeletons followed behind him. The current Skeleton General was even more good-looking than before. Every single one of his bones was emitting a golden glow. He was even wearing a complete set of armor. The rusty spear in his hand was shining brightly and emitting a terrifying aura of death. Roar! The moment the Skeleton General appeared, he understood his master's intention. He pointed his spear, and a large number of skeleton soldiers charged at Xianfeng, creating a bloody path. It was not enough. 3-leaf demonic pupils, demon god summoning bar. The 3 leaves in his right eye spun, and a huge whirlpool appeared in the sky. Then, a demonic god who could control lightning descended and started a terrifying massacre. With the demon god Bar and the skeleton general paving the way, Ling Xiao's battle became much easier. He took advantage of the chaos in the temple to get closer to Xianfeng. Kill him! Kill him! Kill this devil! Xianfeng turned around and saw that Ling Xiao's ghostly figure was constantly approaching him. He was so scared that he immediately screamed. His previous calm appearance was completely gone. As expected, he still knew how to be afraid. A large number of divine guards fearlessly blocked Ling Xiao's path. Kill! Ling Xiao's cold, dark golden eyes were devoid of any emotion. His speed suddenly increased explosively, and his body seemed to have transformed into a sharp blade that reaped lives. As long as it was a martial artist he encountered, there was almost no possibility of survival. Either his body exploded, or his head was removed from his body. Boom! Another terrifying blow blasted onto the golden light of the profound wind protection. Crack! Finally, a crack appeared on the golden light, and the golden light instantly became extremely thin. No, this guy is too scary. I don't want to die. At that very moment, Xianfeng felt that he was really an idiot. How could he underestimate such a monster? Why did he do such a dangerous thing? This madman was able to get first place in the treasure hunt. He really lived up to his reputation. However, at that very moment, he had no time to admire Ling Xiao. As the golden light had already shattered, Ling Xiao's next attack would be able to kill him. At that moment, he was exhausted from the yin-yang powder and had to rely on others to carry him here. However, the people who carried him were already dead. Who dares to be impudent in the Black Tortoise Temple? Another group of over a dozen powerful divine guards arrived. These people's cultivation had reached level 17 yin-yang realm. They instantly arrived in front of Xianfeng and protected him behind them. Set up the Black Tortoise formation. This group of divine guards was obviously stronger than the previous one. There were a total of 12 of them, and they even knew how to set up a battle formation. A battle formation was also a type of formation. Once it was set up successfully, it would definitely allow the 12 people to unleash the strength of 24 people. By then, it would be even more difficult to deal with. Ling Xiao's face turned gloomy. By then, the experts in the Black Tortoise Temple must have been alerted. He could feel an extremely powerful aura chasing after him from afar. No, I have to capture Xianfeng alive first. As long as I take him as a hostage, I believe that no matter how strong the guy is, he will have to hold back. Although Ling Xiao was in the mood to kill, his mind was very calm. After a simple analysis, Ling Xiao pulled out Light's Fury again. The terrifying divine light sword instantly turned crimson. Sanguine Sun's sword, all of you shall die. He did not hold back and directly attacked with the Sanguine Sun sword. The terrifying crimson light shot out the moment the Sanguine Sun sword appeared. Any martial artist who touched this crimson light was instantly sucked dry and turned into a bag of skin. This made the Sanguine Sun sword even more brilliant. 2 of the 12 martial artists who originally planned to set up the Black Tortoise formation were instantly killed. The formation was also directly broken. Ling Xiao did not give them a chance to set up the formation at all. If he let them set up the formation successfully, he, Ling Xiao, would really have no chance. This was definitely a massacre. Holding the Sanguine Sun sword, he turned into a heavenly demon incarnation. Ling Xiao was simply a true heavenly demon at this time. As long as the Sanguine Sun sword flickered, there would be shriveled skin. Kill! 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 Human blood was like a shower, constantly sprinkling in the temple. Broken limbs were strewn all over the place like garbage. The shriveled skin was like rice bags everywhere. In Ling Xiao's dark golden eyes, there was no longer any trace of human emotion. Instead, they were filled with cold killing intent. No one present could stop him. Of the 12 powerful divine guards, 6 had already died. Only 6 were left. And these 6 people were still protecting Xian Feng as they retreated step by step. Everyone's face was filled with fear and shock. If you don't get out of the way, then die with him. The sanguine sun, sword shone again. With a stab, 6 skin bags flew into the air. The frightened Xian Feng directly knelt on the ground, his body trembling. He had no courage to escape. Don't kill me. I'll tell you where Cold Plum is. Xian Feng finally lost the will to resist. It wasn't that he didn't want to resist. He was really frightened by Ling Xiao, this terrifying fellow. What Tianhai tyranny? What Feng Fei? What Lei Lai? None of them were as terrifying as this madman. He was simply a monster. Where is she? Ling Xiao's sword was placed across Xian Feng's neck. As long as he moved, Xian Feng would die immediately. Is that woman really that important to you? For her, you're actually going to make an enemy of Black Tortoise Temple? Make an enemy of Deep Earth Sect? Xian Feng asked in confusion. Chapter 1912. Xian Feng really didn't understand. With Ling Xiao's talent, if he joined the Black Tortoise Temple, he would definitely become a top expert in the future. She was just a woman. Why bother? If it was him, he would directly send her to the Black Tortoise Temple. What's more, he didn't give Cold Plum to the Black Tortoise Temple, but to the Buddhist sect, the most powerful sect in the Black Tortoise continent. Qi. Ling Xiao didn't speak at all, and directly left a wound on Xian Feng's neck. Bright red blood flowed out from there, and Xian Feng's face turned pale. To her, Lung Mei was not an important or unimportant issue at all. She was his family, a family member that absolutely couldn't be harmed. Whoever dared to touch her, he would destroy their entire family. The Black Tortoise Temple was no exception. Huta sect. Xian Feng finally spoke. It's the Huta sect. The Huta sect has a dark department. Cold Plum is very suitable to join the dark department of the Huta sect as a black feather person. You don't have to worry. She's not dead. She's just going to the dark department to learn. Xian Feng didn't dare to talk nonsense anymore. He was afraid that if he continued to talk nonsense, his head would directly move. I hate people who use this method to take away people around me. If the Huta sect really thinks highly of her, they should send out an invitation and let her go willingly. Ling Xiao looked into Xian Feng's eyes and said coldly, unless you're lying. What are they going to do with Cold Plum to the Huta sect? The cold blade once again cut Xian Feng's neck. Xian Feng could even feel the pain of his muscles being torn apart. Don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Facing Ling Xiao, who didn't care about his feelings and didn't have any sense of fear, Xian Feng was really scared out of his wits. He said in horror, the dark department is actually the assassination department of the Huta sect. After entering, the first thing you have to go through is extremely cruel training. All martial artists will be trained to be emotionless killing machines, and you have to erase all memories except for martial arts. He didn't dare to lie. If he dared to lie again, the blade would easily cut his neck. Lord Xianyi. Suddenly at this moment, an excited voice rang out. A dazzling and sharp blade light pierced over from a distance, passing through countless people's heads and piercing towards Ling Xiao's vital part. This saber light was extremely powerful. Ling Xiao could feel that even with the combination of his sealed world body and colored glass armor, it would still be difficult to resist. However, he still stood there without any intention of dodging. Just as the saber light was about to touch him, his figure suddenly shifted horizontally. The saber light pierced Xian Feng's body without any suspense. The remaining golden light on Xian Feng's body was easily torn apart, and then his body was split into two like a piece of paper. His eyes were still filled with fear and disbelief. "Young Master Xianfeng." The man cried out in alarm, and he was already beside the corpse. The person who came had a head of messy black hair. He held a steel saber in his hand, which shone with the light of a spirit weapon. His speed in that instant was almost as fast as Ling Xiao's. "This guy is very strong. He's at the 18th level of the Yin-Yang realm?" "No, he's at the half-rebirth realm." Ling Xiao frowned and then called back the skeleton general and demon god Bar. At that moment, his greatest enemy was no longer the divine guards who were blocking his way, but the powerful enemy in front of him. He was definitely no match for this person in a one-on-one battle. He could only save his life if he ran away. His mind was spinning as he thought about the best way to save his life and how to save Cold Plum. He believed that it was impossible for Cold Plum to be taken away in such a short period of time. After all, he rushed over as soon as he received the news that Cold Plum was captured. Moreover, Cold Plum wouldn't just sit there and wait for death. Although the girl hadn't adapted to her new power, based on her past experience, she might be thinking of a way to escape. Hence, what he had to do now was to search the entire Black Tortoise Temple, find Cold Plum, and save Cold Plum. As for what would happen after that, it wouldn't be too late to think about it. Even if he was chased by the Black Tortoise Temple, he couldn't just sit by and do nothing about Cold Plum. Moreover, he had no other choice at that moment. "You killed young Master Xianfeng." Xian Yi looked at Ling Xiao furiously, and his voice was filled with terrifying murderous intent. "Don't spout nonsense. Everyone here saw it. The one who killed that guy wasn't me, but you." Ling Xiao looked at Xian Yi and didn't show any fear. Even if the opponent was stronger than him, it didn't mean that he would die. At the very least, the person wasn't a rebirth realm warrior, and he still had a way to deal with him. No one noticed that at this moment, in the clouds above the profound wind divine palace, an old man with white hair and beard was sitting cross-legged there. There was a girl on his right who was supported by the clouds that emitted yin-yang origin energy. The girl was Cold Plum. On his left was Xianfeng, who had just been killed. "Senior, thank you for saving my life." Xianfeng looked at the elder in front of him in shock. He could be said to be arrogant and despotic in the Black Tortoise Temple. He wouldn't even give face to the reverends of the 13 palaces. However, in front of this elder, he didn't dare to be impudent. This elder was none other than the sect master of the Black Tortoise Temple, and possibly the strongest existence in the White Tiger continent. "It's all right. It's just a small matter. However, I wasted a substitute doll. After returning to the Black Tortoise continent, you have to help me get another one. This kind of treasure is hard to come by." The elder glanced at Xianfeng and said, "Senior, don't worry. It's just a small matter. I just don't know if Senior has the antidote to the yin-yang powder. I have to kill that kid personally. Otherwise, it'll be hard to get rid of the hatred in my heart." Xianfeng looked at Ling Xiao on the ground and said angrily, "Your yin-yang powder has been cured. Why don't you try activating your yin-yang origin energy?" The elder said faintly. Hearing this, Xianfeng was delighted. He hurriedly activated his yin-yang origin energy and found that his stagnant inner energy was now very smooth and seemed to be much stronger than before. "Thank you, Senior. I'll go down and kill him now." Xianfeng's spirit was lifted. He stood up and said, "Listen to my advice. There's still a terrifying energy in that young man's body. Even if you recover your strength, you may not be his opponent. Just leave it to Xian Yi. It'll be easy for Xian Yi to kill him." The elder's indifferent voice greatly provoked Xianfeng. "You're boosting others' morale and lowering your own. I have to kill him personally. I also want him to apologize to me like a dog in front of everyone. Otherwise, how can I get rid of the humiliation I suffered before?" Xianfeng was a very arrogant person. Today he was tortured by Ling Xiao. Fortunately, the sect master of the Black Tortoise Temple helped him and saved his life. If he couldn't take revenge personally, he would never be able to raise his head again. Chapter 1913. Xianfeng, you have to understand that this young man seems to have inherited the bloodline of a human king. It's just that outsiders can't see it. Moreover, I don't know where he got this terrifying primordial heavenly demon fighting spirit from. He can actually transform into a heavenly demon. He's so young, and his cultivation is only at the peak of the 14th level of Yin-Yang realm. But he can easily kill a 17th level Yin-Yang realm martial artist. He's a real top genius. Even in the Black Tortoise mainland, he's definitely the top. You can't compare with him. The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace did not give Xianfeng any face. His words were full of praise for Ling Xiao and mocking Xianfeng. I don't believe it. Xianfeng shouted stubbornly. Even if you don't believe it, I won't allow you to die. After all, you're the son of my friend. Although you're useless, if you die, it'll be very difficult for me. The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace looked at him and said, Moreover, the Thick Earth sect is recruiting talents. Although Ling Xiao has some grudges with the Divine Palace, it's just a small problem. I think the Thick Earth sect will definitely like such a genius. No. You want him to join the Black Tortoise Divine Palace? Xianfeng gritted his teeth. Letting someone who humiliated him join the Black Tortoise Divine Palace was an insult to him. No, join the Thick Earth sect. The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace said indifferently. He did not care about Xianfeng's anger at all. All right, since Senior insists on letting him join the Thick Earth sect, then, as the supervisor of the Thick Earth sect in the Black Tortoise Divine Palace, I have the obligation to test his talent and strength. Xianfeng suddenly rolled his eyes and said, The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace was silent for a long time before he sighed helplessly and said, Since you don't know your limits, then go ahead and try. Anyway, with Xianyi here you won't die. There's no need for Xianyi to do anything. I'll behead him very soon. Xianfeng rushed down impatiently and landed on the battlefield, appearing next to Xianyi. Xianyi, step aside. I'll kill him. Young Master Xianfeng, you're not dead. Xianyi shouted excitedly. Thank you so much for that slash. My soul almost died in the underworld. Fortunately, the Divine Palace sect master intervened and saved my life. Xianfeng glared at Xianyi, then looked at Ling Xiao and said, From now on you'll see what a real expert looks like. Ling Xiao frowned, but his mind was racing. The Black Tortoise Divine Temple's sovereign actually personally saved Xianfeng, indicating that this person's status was extremely high. If he could hold this person hostage, then not only could he live, he could also take Leng Mei away. Although he might not succeed, it was worth a try. Thinking up to here, he only coldly glanced at Xianfeng, then hooked his hand and said, Make your move. I want to see how strong the person who just knelt and begged for mercy is. Hearing Ling Xiao's ridicule, Xianfeng was furious. A shadow of a snow lion appeared behind him, and a transparent frost sword appeared in his hand. Die, brat! The air seemed to have frozen as the frost sword approached. There was a snow lion pouncing on Ling Xiao. No wonder Xianfeng liked to keep snow lions as pets. His martial soul was the snow lion. Su Emo dared not underestimate Xianfeng. After all, his opponent was a rank 18 Yin-Yang realm expert. Su Emo went all out from the start. The Crimson Sun sword appeared. The terrifying crimson radiance formed a crimson sun and collided with the snow lion sword chi. Rumble. The terrifying sword chi collided in the air. Ling Xiao frowned and stomped on the ground. The ground cracked, and a large amount of energy penetrated into the ground. Not far away, the energy shot out through the cracks and killed a few divine guards on the spot. On the other side, Xianfeng did not retreat. However, he was surprised. His cultivation level was 4 ranks higher than Ling Xiao's. Ling Xiao was not at a disadvantage. Instead, he diverted the energy and injured the divine guards of Black Tortoise Temple. Such an opponent was not easy to deal with as he was too cunning. Not bad at all. However, if you think that's all I have, you're wrong. Xianfeng was going crazy. He thought that he was poisoned by the yin-yang powder. That was why he was humiliated by Ling Xiao. However, the yin-yang powder had been dispelled and his strength had recovered to its peak because of his relationship with the sect master of Black Tortoise Temple. On the other hand, Ling Xiao had fought for a long time and should have consumed a lot of energy. However, Xianfeng, a rank 18 yin-yang realm martial artist, could not do anything to Ling Xiao. How could he not be enraged? However, Ling Xiao did not talk nonsense with him. He stabbed with the Crimson Sun sword again. At the same time, he turned into a ray of light and charged at Xianfeng like lightning. They were so close. They were so fast. Even Xianfeng, who had a higher cultivation level, could not react in time. Damn it. How can this guy's speed be so terrifying? Xianyi, who was standing next to Xianfeng, was shocked. He was afraid that Xianfeng would be hurt, so he attacked without warning. At the same time, a few divine guards stood in front of Xianfeng and protected him. Regardless of whether Ling Xiao's stroke could hurt Xianfeng, they definitely did not dare to watch Ling Xiao attack Xianfeng. The so-called one-on-one battle had become a ridiculous one-on-many battle. However, there was no change in Ling Xiao's eyes. His body had turned into a ray of light. Xianyi and the others' expressions turned solemn when they saw the terrifying gust of wind. At the same time, another figure separated from Ling Xiao's body and charged at Xianfeng at an extremely fast speed. Xianfeng's cultivation level was strong, but Ling Xiao had already seen through him. He was definitely a playboy and had never fought in a real battle. Hence, in Ling Xiao's opinion, Xianfeng was even weaker than some martial artists who were at the 17th level of yin-yang realm. This guy's combat experience was terrible. Even if he had twin martial souls that were weaker than him, he could still kill this guy. Chi. The Crimson Sun sword turned into a ray of crimson sword light and charged at Xianyi. Xianyi could not help but be stunned. He thought that Ling Xiao was going to kill Xianfeng. He did not expect this guy to be so stupid as to stab at him. Idiot, you made an extremely stupid choice. Xianyi shook his wrist, and a ray of light flashed in his hand. He easily blocked the Crimson Sun sword. A smug expression appeared on his face. As long as he blocked Ling Xiao's attack, Xianfeng would not be in danger. After all, there were so many people protecting Xianfeng. However, at that moment, the corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. Suddenly, another sword appeared in his originally empty left hand. It was a dark, demonic sword. The terrifying dark aura was more compatible with the heavenly demon incarnation. Chapter 1914. Xianfeng, you have to understand that this young man seems to have inherited the bloodline of a human king. It's just that outsiders can't see it. Moreover, I don't know where he got this terrifying primordial heavenly demon fighting spirit from. He can actually transform into a heavenly demon. He's so young, and his cultivation is only at the peak of the 14th level of yin-yang realm. But he can easily kill a 17th level yin-yang realm martial artist. He's a real top genius. Even in the Black Tortoise mainland, he's definitely the top. You can't compare with him. The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace did not give Xianfeng any face. His words were full of praise for Ling Xiao and mocking Xianfeng. I don't believe it. Xianfeng shouted stubbornly. Even if you don't believe it, I won't allow you to die. After all, you're the son of my friend. Although you're useless, if you die, it'll be very difficult for me. The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace looked at him and said, Moreover, the Thick Earth sect is recruiting talents. Although Ling Xiao has some grudges with the Divine Palace, it's just a small problem. I think the Thick Earth sect will definitely like such a genius. No. You want him to join the Black Tortoise Divine Palace? Xian Feng gritted his teeth. Letting someone who humiliated him join the Black Tortoise Divine Palace was an insult to him. No, join the Thick Earth sect. The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace said indifferently. He did not care about Xian Feng's anger at all. All right, since Senior insists on letting him join the Thick Earth sect, then as the supervisor of the Thick Earth sect in the Black Tortoise Divine Palace, I have the obligation to test his talent and strength. Xian Feng suddenly rolled his eyes and said, The sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Palace was silent for a long time before he sighed helplessly and said, Since you don't know your limits, then go ahead and try. Anyway, with Xian Yi here you won't die. There's no need for Xian Yi to do anything. I'll behead him very soon. Xian Feng rushed down impatiently and landed on the battlefield, appearing next to Xian Yi. Xian Yi, step aside. I'll kill him. Young Master Xian Feng, you're not dead. Xian Yi shouted excitedly. Thank you so much for that slash. My soul almost died in the underworld. Fortunately, the Divine Palace's sect master intervened and saved my life. Xian Feng glared at Xian Yi, then looked at Ling Xiao and said, Brat, the yin-yang powder in this young master's body has been removed. From now on, you will see what a true expert looks like. Ling Xiao frowned, but his mind was racing. The sovereign of the Black Tortoise Temple actually personally saved Xian Feng, indicating that this person's status was extremely high. If he could hold this person hostage, then not only could he live, he could also take Cold Plum away. Although he might not succeed, it was worth a try. Thinking up to here, he only coldly glanced at Xian Feng, then hooked his hand and said, Make your move. I want to see how much strength the person who just knelt and begged for mercy has. You're courting death. When Xian Feng heard Ling Xiao's ridicule, he was instantly enraged. A shadow of a snow lion appeared behind him, and a transparent frost sword appeared in his hand. He thrust his sword at Ling Xiao. Die, brat! When the frost sword pierced over, the air seemed to have frozen. In Ling Xiao's eyes, there was not only a terrifying cold sword chi, but also a snow lion that was pouncing on him. No wonder Xian Feng liked to keep snow lions as pets. It turned out that his martial soul was the snow lion. Facing this person, Su Mo did not dare to be careless. After all, his opponent was a rank 18 Yin-Yang realm expert. Su Mo went all out from the start. The Crimson Sun sword appeared, and the terrifying crimson radiance condensed into a crimson sun, clashing with the snow lion sword chi. Rumble! The terrifying sword chi collided in the air, and Ling Xiao frowned. He suddenly stomped on the ground, causing a crack to appear on the ground. A large amount of energy penetrated into the ground. Not far away, the energy shot out through the crack, killing a few divine guards on the spot. On the other side, Xian Feng did not retreat, but there was a look of surprise on his face. His cultivation was 4 ranks higher than Ling Xiao's. In the attack, Ling Xiao was not at a disadvantage. Instead, he shifted the energy skillfully and even injured the divine guards of Black Tortoise Divine Hall. Such an opponent was not easy to deal with because he was too cunning. Not bad at all. However, if you think that's all I have, then you're wrong. Xian Feng was going crazy. He thought that he was poisoned by the yin-yang powder, which was why he was humiliated by Ling Xiao. However, the yin-yang powder had been dispelled, and his strength had recovered to its peak because of his relationship with the sect master of Black Tortoise Divine Hall. On the other hand, Ling Xiao had fought for such a long time, and he should have consumed a lot of energy. However, he, a rank 18 yin-yang realm martial artist, could not do anything to Ling Xiao. How could he not be angry? However, Ling Xiao did not waste his breath on him. He stabbed with the Crimson Sun sword again. At the same time, his body turned into a ray of light and charged at Xian Feng like lightning. The distance was so close. The speed was so fast. Even Xian Feng, who had a higher cultivation level, could not react in time. Damn it. How can this guy's speed be so terrifying? Xian Yi, who was standing next to Xian Feng, was shocked. He was afraid that Xian Feng would be hurt, so he attacked without warning. At the same time, a few divine guards stood in front of Xian Feng and protected him. Regardless of whether Ling Xiao's stroke could hurt Xian Feng, they definitely did not dare to watch Ling Xiao attack Xian Feng. The so-called one-on-one battle had turned into a ridiculous one-on-many battle. However, there was no change in Ling Xiao's eyes. His body had turned into a ray of light. Xian Yi and the others' expressions turned solemn when they saw the terrifying gust of wind. At the same time, another figure separated from Ling Xiao's body and charged at Xian Feng at an extremely fast speed. Xian Feng's cultivation level was strong, but Ling Xiao had already seen through him. He was definitely a playboy and had never fought in a real battle. Hence, in Ling Xiao's opinion, Xian Feng was even weaker than some martial artists who were at the 17th level of Yin-Yang realm. This guy's combat experience was terrible. Even if Xian Yi had twin martial souls that were weaker than him, he could still kill this guy. Chi. The Crimson Sun sword turned into a ray of crimson sword light and charged at Xian Yi. Xian Yi could not help but be stunned. He thought that Ling Xiao wanted to kill Xian Feng, but he did not expect this guy to be so stupid as to stab at him. Idiot, you have made an extremely stupid choice. Xian Yi shook his wrist, and a ray of light flashed in his hand. He easily blocked the Crimson Sun sword. A smug expression appeared on his face. As long as he blocked Ling Xiao's attack, Xian Feng would not be in danger. After all, Xian Feng had so many people protecting him. However, at this moment, the corners of Ling Xiao's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. Suddenly, another sword appeared in his originally empty left hand. It was a dark magic sword. Chapter 1915. The sect master of Black Tortoise Temple looked at Ling Xiao indifferently and waved his hand gently. The feeling that made Ling Xiao unable to move instantly disappeared. Ling Xiao stared at him and felt a chill in his heart. Xian Ming dared to let him go because he was confident that he could restrain him instantly. This was the confidence of an expert. He was too far away from this person. Sect master. At this moment, another expert came from afar. Seeing Xian Ming, he hurriedly knelt down and saluted. Greetings, sect master. Get up. Why are you here instead of preparing for the Battle of the Kings? The person who came was lawless. Xian Ming glanced at him indifferently and asked softly, I'm going to discuss with Sect Master about tomorrow's Battle of the Kings. A few days ago, Sect Master said that he might attend the battle personally. Lawless glanced at Ling Xiao and sighed helplessly. He was really depressed now. Because he had lost 2 bets, he had sworn to protect Ling Xiao and the martial artists of the Heavenly Empire. If the sect master wanted to deal with Ling Xiao today, he would be in a difficult situation. Got it. You can stand aside for now. Xian Ming waved his hand and said, Yes. Lawless stood aside and looked at Ling Xiao coldly. He thought to himself, It's not that I don't want to save you. It's just that you have offended someone that even I can't do anything about. This is beyond the scope of the oath. He was looking for an excuse to break the oath. However, he was afraid that he would be punished by heaven for breaking the oath. Even so, he didn't want to offend Xian Ming. This sect master was too terrifying. He was definitely not someone he could deal with. Give me back Cold Plum. Ling Xiao's cold and firm voice rang out. Xian Ming, the sect master of Black Tortoise Temple, couldn't help but look at him in surprise. He actually dared to say such words under his powerful pressure? This kid was powerful. He was well aware of how strong his own cultivation was. He was no ordinary rebirth realm martial artist. Any Yin-Yang realm martial artist would either kneel down or faint in front of him. Some would even suffocate to death from his aura. No Yin-Yang realm martial artist had ever dared to speak to him like this. That's impossible. Xianming shook his head and said, Cold Plum is a black feather person of the feather world. She is very suitable to be a disciple of the dark department of the Huda sect. You shouldn't stop her. Instead, you should support her. Hearing that, lawless Xianyi, Xianfeng, and the kneeling divine guards were stunned. What was going on? Normally, this high and mighty sect master would never waste words with the enemy. Why was he explaining to this crazy kid in front of him today? Let her wake up. As long as she is willing, I have nothing to say. Ling Xiao looked at Xianming and said, I hate it when people force me and my friends. Kid, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The sect master is giving you face by speaking for you. Don't push your luck. Don't overestimate yourself. Lawless shouted from the side. Of course. He hoped that Ling Xiao would agree to take Cold Plum away with Xianming. That way, Xianming would probably let Ling Xiao go. If that was the case, he wouldn't have to go back on his word and wouldn't have to go back on his word. I told you to give her back to me. Ling Xiao suddenly moved. He turned into a stream of light and pounced at Cold Plum. His idea was simple. He wanted to use his speed to save Cold Plum. Even if there was only a 1 in a million chance, he wanted to try. Because the opponent was too strong, he couldn't think of any other way. He could only take the risk. Good body movement. Unfortunately, you don't stand a chance against me. Xianming glanced at Ling Xiao's afterimage and flicked his finger. Ling Xiao was struck by lightning. His body flew out like a broken kite and hit the wall of the temple. His whole body was covered in blood. Under the protection of the mysterious world body and the colored glaze armor, he was injured so easily. This Xianming was really terrifyingly strong. Although he had expected this to happen, Ling Xiao was still a little shocked when he was actually sent flying. Maybe this time he had really encountered the biggest hurdle in his life. If he couldn't cross it, he would die without a burial place. If he could cross it, his future would be bright. If you want to be with her, it's very simple. Join the Deep Earth sect. I will take you and her to the Black Tortoise continent. In the future, one of you will become the most terrifying assassin of the Deep Earth sect. The other will become one of the most outstanding geniuses of the Deep Earth sect. Although Cold Plum will lose her memory and suffer a fate worse than death, she is just a woman. You can exchange her for a bright future. I believe I don't need to say more about how to choose. Xianming looked at Ling Xiao and said calmly. It was as if Ling Xiao would accept everything he said. Bah! Ling Xiao spat a mouthful of blood on the ground and cursed. Old dog, remember this. If I don't die today, I will let you know what fear is in the future. Sect Master, this kid is really stubborn. Why don't you give him to me and let me deal with him? I will make him obediently join the Deep Earth sect and be our dog for the rest of his life. Xianfeng said as he looked at Xianming with a ferocious expression. All right, since he is not obedient, I don't intend to protect him. I will leave him to you. Although Xianming felt that Ling Xiao was a genius that could be nurtured, he did not like Ling Xiao's character. Ling Xiao was unruly and stubborn. He was not the type that he liked. You guys capture him. Xianfeng was overjoyed when he heard Xianming. Although Ling Xiao was injured, he still did not dare to get close to Ling Xiao. Instead, he sent a few 16th-tier Yin-Yang realm divine guards to capture Ling Xiao. Yes, sect master. The few divine guards obeyed and walked towards Ling Xiao. Although they were afraid of Ling Xiao's sudden outburst, they could not disobey Xianfeng's order, since Ling Xiao was injured and Ling Xiao was injured. Master, leave quickly. Cold Plum's voice suddenly sounded in Ling Xiao's mind. I'm not leaving. Ling Xiao resolutely said through soul transmission. You should know that the Deep Earth sect's dark department is not a place for humans. They just want to torture you into a killing machine. How can I let them succeed? But master, You should understand that the Black Tortoise Divine Palace's sect master, Xianming, is here. You have no hope of saving me. I know that Master cares about me, and I know that Master has the ability to escape. Cold Plum has suffered coldness and torture all these years. I am not afraid of suffering. As long as Master lives well, that is Cold Plum's greatest happiness. Finally, Master, please help me find the others in the Blackwing Nation and let them live well like the Dragon Clan. This is what my father asked of me before he died. Chapter 1916. I can't do it. It's better if you do it yourself. Ling Xiao wasn't willing to agree to Cold Plum's request because he knew that Cold Plum wanted to sacrifice herself to help him. Although he didn't know what Cold Plum wanted to do, he believed that he could seize the opportunity to escape as long as Cold Plum did it. But so what if he escaped? Given the strength of Black Tortoise Sacred Hall, wouldn't it be easy for them to find and capture him? If that was the case, what was the point of him running away? Master, no need to talk nonsense. If you dare to mess around, I, Ling Xiao, will no longer recognize Cold Plum as a friend. Don't worry, I have a way to save you. I don't care even if you don't participate in the White Tiger meet. Ling Xiao still had a final trump card, which was the Butterfly Lady and the Yuan Venerate. He wouldn't use these two trump cards until the last moment. Once he used them, he had to get the best results. Cold Plum was actually pretending to be unconscious. When she heard Ling Xiao's words, she couldn't help but cry. No one had ever treated her this well in her entire life. Actually, no one would say anything if Ling Xiao left just like that. After all, he was facing a powerful existence like the Black Tortoise Sacred Hall sect master. Instead, he might be called stupid if he stayed. However, Ling Xiao would rather do this than leave. This showed that he was really good to her. Kill! Without any warning, Ling Xiao abruptly exploded. The few divine guards near him didn't even have time to react before their bodies were blasted into pieces. Ling Xiao didn't stop. His target was Xian Feng. He could also see that although Xian Feng wasn't very strong, he was definitely an important person. As long as he held this fellow hostage, even the Black Tortoise Sacred Hall sect master would have to hold back. You will be buried with me. Ling Xiao arrived in front of Xian Feng in an instant and punched at Xian Feng's vital points. In order to prevent this fellow from escaping, he had to first severely injure this fellow. Seeing Ling Xiao closing in on him, Xian Feng was shocked. Unfortunately, it was too late when he wanted to escape. Ling Xiao's speed was much faster than his. He was like a maggot in a tarsal bone, firmly entangling him, making it impossible for him to escape. How dare you? The Black Tortoise Temple Master frowned slightly. His complexion didn't look too good. He was really a little angry. With him here, Ling Xiao actually tried to hold Xian Feng hostage. He did not take him seriously at all. Then he gently waved his palm. At that moment, a terrifying force enveloped Ling Xiao from all directions. Ling Xiao felt as if he had been smashed by a huge hammer, and all the bones in his body were shattered. Boom! Ling Xiao, who was close to Xian Feng, was once again sent flying and fell to the ground. Almost all the bones in his body were shattered. Even if he still had internal force, he could not move and could not kill anyone. Ha 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 ha. Let's see what else you can do now, you idiot. Men, take him away. Take him to the blood prison. I want him to taste all the punishments in the Black Tortoise Temple. When Xian Feng saw that Ling Xiao was beaten into a cripple, he laughed wildly once again. He actually went near Ling Xiao and stretched out his hand to slap Ling Xiao's face. No one thought that Ling Xiao could do anything else, including Xian Yi, Lawless, and the Black Tortoise Temple Master. Even Cold Plum was crying hysterically in her heart. If it was not for Ling Xiao constantly stopping her, she really wanted to tear Xian Feng into pieces. Seeing Ling Xiao injured like that, her heart almost broke. Endure. You must endure. As long as Master is not dead, I have a way to save him. I must not be impulsive now. Cold Plum reminded herself over and over again, as if she was hypnotizing herself. Suddenly, at this moment, a scream was heard. Everyone looked over in surprise. The one who screamed was not Ling Xiao, but Xian Feng. Ling Xiao, whose bones had been shattered, still floated up strongly. His body seemed to be supported by a black shadow. His right hand grabbed Xian Feng's neck tightly. As long as he exerted a little force, this neck would be broken. Don't act recklessly. Xian Ming frowned. At this moment, he was really afraid of breaking the vases. Xian Feng was his master's son. Although he was the most crippled one, his master's blood still flowed in his body. If he died here, then he would be in trouble. At the very least, his master would question why he was unable to save Xian Feng, even though he was so powerful. If you don't want me to kill him, then obediently release Cold Plum. I believe Senior Xianming is clear about which is more important. Ling Xiao absolutely believed that Xian Feng's life was more important than Cold Plum's. So, as long as he controlled Xian Feng, then he could definitely exchange for Cold Plum. Senior, save me. Xian Feng could only cry for help in horror. Trash! You can't do anything right. Xian Ming took a deep breath. He wanted to use Cold Plum to exchange for Xian Feng. However, as the sect master of Black Tortoise Temple, he absolutely could not tolerate being threatened. Ling Xiao must die, unless he still had something worth digging up. All right, this old man agrees. Let's release the hostages at the same time. How about it? Xian Ming looked at Ling Xiao and said, Old dog, do you really think I'm stupid? This is your Black Tortoise Temple's territory. If I release the hostages now, you can casually kill both of us. Ling Xiao scolded. Anyway, they were already like fire and water. He didn't care who he scolded. Then what do you say? Xian Ming asked coldly. It's very simple. Go to Songjing Temple to exchange the hostages. Ling Xiao suggested. No problem. Although he didn't know what Ling Xiao was planning, Xian Ming felt that as long as they were within the range of Myriad Thunder Extreme Place, his Black Tortoise Temple could easily catch these two people and execute them. So he agreed without hesitation. Ling Xiao's biggest reliance was the Demon Wine Sword. Although the Demon Wine Sword was strong, it was only slightly stronger than the honorables of the 13 palaces. There was no way it could be compared to him. Even if the Demon Wine Sword appeared, he could just kill them together. Sect Master is really straightforward. Then let's meet at Songjing Temple. Ling Xiao left with Xian Feng, and no one dared to stop him. Even Xian Ming had to be cautious. Who would dare to act recklessly? If young Master Xian Feng was killed, they would all be buried with him. Xian Yi, bring some men to surround Songjing Temple. Don't let even a mosquito out. Xian Ming looked at Xian Yi and ordered. Yes, Xian Yi took the order and left with a large number of divine guards. Xian Ming also slowly rose to the sky. Then his body suddenly flashed, and he arrived at Songjing Temple before Ling Xiao. At this time, Songjing Temple was already in ruins. Near the ruins, there were several figures waiting anxiously. Among them were the Demon Wine, Sword, and Hong Qi. Both of them were injured. However, the enemy was in a worse state than them. It was the Black Tortoise Temple. Chapter 1917. Although the Wine Demon Sword and Hong Qi were injured, the others were also heavily injured. However, the enemy was in a worse state. The family head of the Sora family, Sora Jing, who had vowed to find trouble with Ling Xiao, died on the spot. This was the first rebirth realm martial artist that the Wine Demon Sword had killed since returning to the White Tiger continent. The other rebirth realm martial artist that was killed was actually a Black Wind Sacred Hall honorable from the Black Tortoise Sacred Hall. He was in charge of the Black Wind Sacred Hall and had the same status as Lawless. Other than the two of them, the Black Tortoise Sacred Hall had lost more than 100 divine guards. They were all Enyang realm martial artists. 5 half-rebirth realm martial artists had died, tragically, all killed by Hongqi. This kind of battle would definitely not satisfy the Black Tortoise Sacred Hall. Suddenly, the wine demon sword frowned. The black sword in his hand flickered as he stared into the distance. After a while, an old man appeared in his line of sight, causing his expression to become unsightly. "It's him." The wine demon's sword smiled bitterly. "Elder Hong, take them away later. Run as far as you can. Leave the rest to me." "Who is he?" Hongqi asked. "Black Tortoise Sacred Hall Sect Master, Xian Ming." The wine demon's sword sighed and said, "I'm not his match, and the gap between us is huge. Even if I fight with him, I'm afraid I can only last about 100 moves. Why is he here? Could it be that my good grandson has done something incredible in the Black Tortoise Temple again?" Hongqi was puzzled. The Black Tortoise Sacred Hall Sect Master would not show himself easily. Since he had shown himself today, something big must have happened. As they spoke, Xian Ming had already appeared in front of them. He was very close. The terrifying pressure made Dan foam, and the others unable to stand up straight. It was as if they were being crushed by a mountain. Among them, only the wine demon's sword and Hongqi could stand up straight. However, what was surprising was that although Long Chen did not stand up straight, he actually took a step forward. His body flickered with golden light, and he let out a terrifying dragon roar to prevent himself from falling. "Oh, seems like the rumors are true. You are indeed a real dragon. Interesting, interesting. Who is this Ling Xiao? Not only does he have the black feather people, he also has the dragon race. He even has the help of the unruly wine demon sword." Xian Ming was surprised and confused. Although Ling Xiao had indeed displayed terrifying potential and ability, his strength was still ordinary. Why would these people be so loyal to this brat? He didn't quite understand. It was hard to understand. "Old dog, cut the crap. Where's Cold Plum?" At this moment, another voice came from the horizon. Ling Xiao broke through the air and arrived. Although all the bones in his body had been shattered, they were still healing at an accelerated rate. His body was temporarily supported by the Sun of Shadow. His speed was not as fast as when he was at his peak, but it was still not slow. Naturally, he came with me. Xian Ming was very angry because Ling Xiao actually dared to call him an old dog. However, this was not the time to lose his temper. After the exchange of hostages, it would not be too late to torture Ling Xiao. As he spoke, he waved his hand, and Lung Mei was released. Although he didn't know what kind of method he used, it was really brilliant. "Senior Wine Demon Sword, Grandfather, bring the others and follow me." Ling Xiao called out and flew into the ruins of the Cangjing Temple. Although no one knew what had happened, they were very shocked. Ling Xiao actually dared to call Xian Ming an old dog, and that old dog actually did not fly into a rage and kill him. However, at this moment, they did not have time to think about this. They all followed Ling Xiao into the ruins of the Cangjing Temple. Rumble! Ling Xiao split open a pile of ruins with his palm and revealed an entrance. Then he rushed in. This was the former sacrificial hall of the Cangjing Temple. Although it was suppressed by the ruins, it still did not collapse. The quality was excellent. Xian Ming did not hesitate and followed almost at the same time. This was the boldness of the strong. He thought that no one could pose a threat to him. After everyone entered the sacrificial hall, a large number of divine guards came from outside the Cangjing Temple and completely surrounded the place. "Don't let even a mosquito out, do you hear me? Whoever dares to barge in, kill without mercy." Xian Yi was furious. Under his watch, Xian Feng was being held hostage. This kind of humiliation made him burn with anger. "Yes." The divine guards responded loudly. No one knew how many years had passed, but this kind of situation had never happened. Someone dared to provoke the Black Tortoise Temple during the White Tiger meet, and even killed so many people of the Black Tortoise Temple and held the supervisor of the Black Tortoise Temple hostage. They could not tolerate it. In the sacrificial hall, Ling Xiao finally stopped and then said to Xianming, "Let them go at the same time." Yes, Xianming nodded. He did not know why Ling Xiao chose to exchange hostages here, and he did not feel any fresh aura here. It was still filled with dense immortal qi, which was released from the infinite Thunderbolt's extreme land. He was very familiar with it. The aura in the Black Tortoise Temple was even denser than here. It was impossible for him to lose by exchanging hostages like this. What a pity, little girl. You could have become the most frightening assassin in the Black Tortoise continent. Xianming pushed Cold Plum out. At the same time, Ling Xiao also pushed Xianfeng out. At that moment, Xianming's lips curled into a sneer. His figure suddenly flashed and rushed towards Xianfeng. What a stupid kid! Are you worthy of exchanging hostages with this old man? Today, all of you will pay the price in blood. Is that so? Stupid and arrogant old dog. Do you really think that I chose to exchange hostages here for no reason? Ling Xiao did not move, nor did he let the demon wine sword move. He just stood there, looking at Xianming as if he was looking at a joke. Xianming was stunned for a moment, and then sneered, "You want to scare this old man with such words? You are too naive." He did not stop and continued to pounce on Xianfeng. At the same time, he grabbed Cold Plum again. However, at that moment, an extremely strong sense of danger took root and sprouted in his body. Years of battle experience told him that he was in a very dangerous situation. Although he did not know what kind of danger it was, he did not dare to be careless. He gave up saving Xianfeng and even gave up Cold Plum. He suddenly operated the reincarnation power and prepared for defense. In the void, a hand stretched out and slapped towards his back. Xianming hurriedly turned around and slapped. Boom! After the two palms collided, the entire ancestral hall shook. Many places in the Black Tortoise Temple that had already turned into ruins collapsed again. Xianming was stunned. His opponent's palm was really strong. It was actually on par with him. However, why did he feel such a familiar aura and power, as if he was fighting with himself? This feeling was too strange. It was as if he had seen the same thing somewhere before. Chapter 1918. He felt the familiar aura of his opponent. Suddenly, an idea came to Xianming's mind, but he immediately shook his head and said, "Impossible! How is this possible? Only a human king knows how to set up the array in the graveyard of devils. How could he learn it?" However, the next moment he had to slap himself hard, because the figure that came out of the void was exactly the same as him. Whether it was strength or appearance, they were exactly the same. Are you surprised, old dog? You used such an array to get the data of the participants, but you didn't know that I am proficient in arrays. I refined and modified an even more powerful mirror image array. Xianfeng was caught by Ling Xiao again, and Cold Plum was saved by the Wine Demon Sword. Ling Xiao could talk to Xianming indifferently. The mirror image array uses the power of the Myriad Lightning Immortal Slaying array, so any martial artist below the human celestial realm can copy it. You are no exception. Xianming was really surprised. He felt that he was sure to win and that he had seen through Ling Xiao. But at this moment, he realized that he didn't know enough about this kid. In this world, other than cultivation, there were some things that were more difficult to deal with. The magic weapon of a refiner, the array of an array refiner, the elixir of an alchemist, especially the array. Once it was set up successfully, it could produce an effect that was beyond one's imagination. He was too careless. He thought that Ling Xiao's only trump card was the Wine Demon Sword. He didn't know that this kid had led him here to use the power of the Myriad Lightning Immortal Slaying array. Without the power, even the mirror image array couldn't copy his ability. Aren't you surprised? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. Good, very good, but a mirror image is just a mirror image. Do you expect him to defeat me? Xian Ming said coldly. What if Senior Wine Demon Sword joins in? Ling Xiao asked. Xian Ming glanced at the Wine Demon Sword. Although he was confident that he could kill the Wine Demon Sword, it would be dangerous if there was a mirror image with the same strength as him. Ha 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 ha, I'm convinced. You are the only yin-yang realm martial artist that I admire. Tell me, what do you want? Although Xian Ming was indignant when he said that, it was obvious that he wanted to admit defeat. There was no other way. He had fallen into Ling Xiao's trap, and the hostage in his hands was gone. It was impossible to threaten the little guy. I didn't want to do anything at first. I just wanted to get my friend back. Ling Xiao was actually very clear that although the Wine Demon Sword and the Xian Ming mirror image would make Xian Ming very depressed. However, it was still almost impossible to kill him. A mirror image was a mirror image. As long as one found the trick, they would be able to crack it. Therefore, what he needed to do now was to use his advantage to temporarily make peace with Xian Ming. Then he would use more time to ensure his safety. Now that you have her back, can you return Xian Feng to me? Xian Ming said coldly. That's impossible. The sect leader of the mysterious underworld sect is so strong. Once we lose the hostage, I'm afraid we won't be able to leave alive. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, How about this? After we finish participating in the White Tiger Storm meet, we'll return Profound Wind to you. How about it? What? Xian Ming felt that he must have heard wrongly. You still want to participate in the White Tiger Storm meet? Why not? Ling Xiao said indifferently. We finally passed the first 2 stages with great difficulty. Next is the Battle of the Kings. It's impossible for us to give up on our own initiative. Ha 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 ha. This old man really likes you more and more. Good boy. Since you're not afraid of death, then we'll do as you say. If anything happens to Profound Wind, this old man swears that I'll turn your heavenly empire into ruins. Xian Ming laughed a few times and said, Remove your array. This old man wants to see how you'll leave here, alive, after the White Tiger Storm meet ends. There's no need for Senior to worry about that. This Junior knows what to do. Ling Xiao also smiled. Xian Ming no longer spoke. He looked at the trembling Xian Feng and said, Follow them obediently for the time being. Sooner or later, this debt will be settled. After saying that, he turned around and flew away. A cold and dignified voice came from the sky. All black Tortoise Temple cultivators, listen to my order. Before the White Tiger Storm meet ends, no one is allowed to attack Ling Xiao and the others. Violators will be killed. He didn't feel angry at all. Instead, he was very excited. How big of a surprise would Ling Xiao bring him? It had been a long time since he had such an interesting little guy. No, it should be such an interesting toy. Playing with him well and then killing him later. That could also be considered fun. Watching Xian Ming leave, Ling Xiao threw Profound Wind to the Wine Demon Sword and said, Senior, I'll leave this guy in your care for the time being. I believe that even Xian Ming can't easily snatch him from your hands, right? Of course. The Wine Demon's sword caught the trembling Profound Wind and said with a smile, But do you really believe that Xian Ming will let you participate in the White Tiger Storm meet with peace of mind? I believe. Ling Xiao nodded and said, That kind of person is too confident and feels that everything is under his control. So what if I participate in the White Tiger Storm meet? Besides, the White Tiger Storm meet is organized by the Black Tortoise Temple and the other 5 major forces. If several talented cultivators were killed in the second battle, do you think the Black Tortoise Temple can hold back? Xian Ming is very powerful, but the 4 great empires and the righteous sect aren't to be trifled with. Especially the righteous sect, they might not be weaker than the Black Tortoise Temple. That's true. In any case, he feels that he can kill you at any time, so there's no hurry. However, what happens after the White Tiger Storm meet ends? That's the big problem. The Wine Demon Sword nodded. Don't worry, Senior Wine Demon Sword. I've already thought of what to do. Next, I need to concentrate on healing and wait for the Battle of the Kings to begin tomorrow. Although Ling Xiao could still fight, his combat strength had greatly decreased due to the broken bones in his body. He had to make the best use of his time to recover. All right, everyone start healing. I'll stand guard, the Wine Demon Sword said in a deep voice. Everyone didn't talk nonsense and entered a state of cultivation. The qualification to participate in the Battle of the Kings was obtained by Ling Xiao risking his life. If they couldn't obtain a good result, they would feel guilty. The night was very peaceful. As expected, Xianming didn't do anything to Ling Xiao and the others. However, he issued 3 orders in a row. First, bury the dead and injured Black Tortoise Temple cultivators and take care of their families. Second, completely seal off the main roads from Thunderclap City to other places. Every road needs to be guarded by a Rebirth Realm expert. They must not allow Ling Xiao to escape. Third, announce that he will personally host the Battle of the Kings. These 3 orders were obviously directed at this incident. Xianming also felt that he had been in seclusion for too long. It was time for him to come out and see the talents of the world. Perhaps this time he could really select some talents for the Black Tortoise Temple. Chapter 1919. After seeing Ling Xiao and Cold Plum, Xianming felt that he should meet the geniuses of this year's White Tiger meet even more intensely. On the morning of the second day, outside Thunderclap City, a dense crowd was prepared to enjoy the final battle of this year's White Tiger meet. The sky was clear and cloudless. It was also an excellent weather for a showdown. The participating cultivators had gathered in the seats around the stage. It was easier to see here and more convenient to participate in the showdown. Look, that's the Black Tortoise Temple's sect master, Lord Xianming. Suddenly, a flurry of voices sounded. Everyone looked up at the sky and saw a white-bearded man in a white robe slowly descending on the judges' seats. Who else could it be but Xianming? As expected of the Black Tortoise Temple's sect master, this aura simply makes people worship him. Perhaps Xianming deliberately released some of his aura today, so the participating cultivators could feel it very clearly. Perhaps this was also a way for Xianming to display his prestige. It was to make these people admire him. In this way, these people would be more willing to join the Black Tortoise Temple with him. Sit down. Today is the start of the 3rd battle of the White Tiger meet, the Battle of the Kings. This isn't just an honor, it's also an opportunity. The elites of the entire White Tiger continent have gathered here. If you can get a good ranking, you'll definitely become a hero of your generation. Of course, some people may think that an empty reputation is useless. But you also need to get a good ranking, because as long as you can enter the 2nd round of the Battle of the Kings, you'll be rewarded by the temple. Of course, the further you go, the better the rewards. If you can get 1st place, then the rewards you'll receive will surprise you. It's definitely something you've never thought of or dared to think of. The rules of the battle are very simple. If one side takes the initiative to admit defeat or is killed, then it's over. The rules of the battle were indeed simple. As long as you could continue to advance, then you'd be able to obtain the greatest benefits in the end. Regardless of whether you got 1st place or not, as long as your ranking was higher, there would naturally be more benefits. All 66 cultivators looked at the stage nervously. As long as you could enter the 2nd round, you'd be rewarded. This 1st battle was especially important. Do you all understand? Understood. All right, let's cut to the chase. Who's ranked 1st in the treasure hunting battle? Come up and choose your opponent. These words hadn't come from the mysterious underworld, but from Lawless. Xianming had only given the opening speech. The rest of the speech was naturally left to Lawless. Ling Xiao stood up and glanced at Xianming. Then he slowly walked towards the arena. It seemed that he had not fully recovered from his injuries. When he walked, he did not dare to walk too fast and seemed to be enduring intense pain. Humph! Do you think the bones that were shattered by this old man can be easily recovered? I'd like to see how far a cunning and daring brat like you can go. Looking at Ling Xiao, Xianming snorted inwardly. He would be very happy if Ling Xiao was tortured, because this brat had thoroughly infuriated him. He wanted to see this brat be tortured to death. Ling Xiao, you now have the opportunity to challenge anyone outside of the top 10. Begin. Lawless also saw that Ling Xiao was not in a good position. Hence, when he spoke, he emphasized the words challenge anyone. He wanted Ling Xiao to choose a weaker opponent to deal with. In that case, there would be no danger and he would not have to show up. At that moment, regardless of whether it was the audience or the participating warriors, they were all looking at Ling Xiao. They also wanted to know who Ling Xiao would choose as his opponent. Last night, a rumor had reached their ears that Ling Xiao's bones had been broken and his strength had been reduced sharply. Seeing it today, it seemed like the rumor was true. If Ling Xiao had to choose, he would probably choose the lower-ranked warriors. Your Majesty, the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Empire, if you have the ability, fight with me. I am looking forward to seeing your strength. As the saying went, take his life while he was sick. When they realized that Ling Xiao was seriously injured, other than their own people, the rest of the warriors wanted to take advantage of Ling Xiao. The one who shouted at Ling Xiao was actually the guy who was ranked 64th, just ahead of Zhu Xiaocong and MOU. Pick me. Another person shouted, pick me. I won't kill you. We have no grudge against each other. Just let me advance to the second round easily. More and more people shouted at Ling Xiao. It seemed like Ling Xiao was not the champion of the treasure hunt, but more like a piece of trash that could be bullied. You then. Ling Xiao looked at Sora Aoi Fei and gestured with his finger. Sora Aoi Fei was one of the warriors who wanted to beat him up. He was ranked 56th. Although his ranking was a little low, he was not at the bottom. Many people thought that Ling Xiao's choice of him was not wise enough. When Sora Aoi Fei heard Ling Xiao's voice, he cried tears of joy. Let me take revenge for the Sora family. He jumped into the ring excitedly, as if he was worried that he would miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity if he hesitated. Do you really want to kill me that badly? Ling Xiao looked at Sora Aoi Fei's anxious face and couldn't help but smile bitterly. I admit that if you weren't injured, I might not be your opponent. So this is a chance, the best chance for revenge. Sora Aoi Fei didn't hide his intentions and said loudly, You have killed too many of our people. If I don't kill you, the heavens will not forgive me. Didn't they come to kill me first? Even so, you shouldn't kill them. After all, you're not dead yet. Sora Aoi Fei said again, I have nothing to say to you. Come on. Even if I am injured, you are not my opponent. Ling Xiao felt that he would become stupid if he continued to talk nonsense with this kind of person. I will let you know how powerful the Sora family is. Sora Aoi Fei looked at Lawless and said, Referee, can we start? He seemed to be a little impatient. The moment you step onto the stage, the competition has already begun. So, the next people, there's no need to ask such nonsense. Just directly attack. Just start, Lawless said casually. That's great. Sora Aoi Fei sneered, and a humanoid martial soul appeared behind him. It was the ancestral soul of the Sora family, a woman who wasn't tall but had a pretty face. She had a baby face and loved to smile. Countless people had been bewitched by this face and died in the hands of this woman. Sora Aoi Fei released his martial soul, and a huge blade appeared in his hand. He then slashed it at Ling Xiao. The humanoid martial soul behind him let out a strange smile, which was full of charm. Many people in the audience started to giggle, as if their souls had been hooked by something. The huge blade in his hand seemed to have come from the sky, as if it could split the whole ring in half. The domineering power made the elements in the air burst out with shrill screams and shrill cries. Chapter 1920. Human Immortal Ancestral Spirit, grant me your strongest power. I'll defeat this unworthy champion. Sora Aoi roared as he quickly approached Ling Xiao. As his voice rang out, an even more terrifying power was released from the humanoid martial soul. It blew Ling Xiao's clothes until they fluttered loudly. Ling Xiao stood there as if he was completely mesmerized. He did not move at all. Boom! The terrifying saber, accompanied by an astonishing destructive power, directly chopped down on Ling Xiao's head. People could almost see the tragic scene of Ling Xiao's body being split open by the broadsword. Many people even let out cries of surprise. How could the champion of the treasure hunt lose so badly? However, when the gale stopped and the energy dissipated, what everyone saw was Sora Aoi's dumbfounded expression and Ling Xiao's smiling face. He didn't seem to be injured at all. Unharmed? How was that possible? No matter how weak Sora Aoi Fei was, he was at the 14th level of the Yin-Yang realm. However, Ling Xiao did not move at all and easily blocked his attack. Wasn't he severely injured? Even if he wasn't severely injured, how could he have such a terrifying defense? You want to kill me with such strength? Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully. His eyes were filled with mockery. Shut up, you ant trash. Scum from the Sky Dragon continent. I'll definitely kill you. Sora Aoi Fei seemed to have gone crazy. He raised his broadsword again and slashed it at Ling Xiao's head. 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 slashes. Ling Xiao just watched quietly as he pretended to be arrogant. It was as if he was watching an ant trying to trip him up. Impossible, this is impossible. Sora Aoi Fei was finally terrified. He even threw away the broadsword in his hand. Ling Xiao grabbed the broadsword casually and said with a smile, "It's a pity to throw away such a good weapon. Why don't I try it too?" His eyes were filled with cold and sinister killing intent. The other party wanted to kill him, and had slashed him more than once. How could he let this guy go? Seeing the killing intent in Ling Xiao's eyes, Sora Takei's body trembled violently. He wanted to admit defeat, but he found that his muscles were trembling. He couldn't even say the word admit defeat. At this moment, his despair had reached its peak. Most of the people in the crowd did not know Ling Xiao. The audience couldn't understand. Sora Takei was a genius warrior from the Sora clan, one of the 4 great clans in the land of infinite thunders. How was it possible for Ling Xiao to block such a terrifying attack without even moving? And not just once. Colored glaze armor. It must be the colored glaze armor. The 100-eyed demon lord Wu Long gritted his teeth and said, "Although this brat is seriously injured, he has the divine grade spiritual artifact, colored glaze armor. His defense is amazing. With Sora Jingfei's cultivation, it's impossible for him to break through his defense." His words received the agreement of almost everyone. Of course, Ling Xiao's friends were an exception. Only they knew how strong Ling Xiao's physical body was. From a certain perspective, it was even stronger than the divine grade spiritual artifacts used by Yin-Yang realm warriors. After all, Yin-Yang realm warriors couldn't unleash the true power of a divine grade spiritual artifact. They could only defend passively. Ling Xiao indeed didn't wear the colored glaze armor because he had lent it to Cold Plum. Cold Plum's strength was in her attack power, and her weakness was her defense. If she had the colored glaze armor, Ling Xiao absolutely believed that she had the ability to enter the top 5 of the White Tiger meet. Of course, the prerequisite was that Cold Plum had to completely comprehend the Black Feather King's inheritance. However, this should be relatively easy for her. After all, the Black Feather King was her father. With the bloodline connection, her comprehension would naturally be faster. You want to kill me? Your strength is laughable and pitiful. Ling Xiao's words made the originally terrified Sora Takei even more embarrassed and angry. You called me an ant, a piece of trash, but I've already given you so many chances, yet you didn't even manage to cut off a single strand of my hair. Then what are you? Sora Takei opened his mouth, but couldn't say a word. He had already used all his strength and attacked more than once. The other party didn't even fight back, but he couldn't hurt the other party at all. How should he answer? After a long time, he finally said, "You're just relying on the colored glaze armor. What's so great about that? If you have the ability, throw the colored glaze armor away." Ling Xiao looked at Sora Takei with disdain and said, "I really don't understand. How did you survive until now with that kind of brain? Your saber is also a spiritual artifact, right? Although it's only a fine-grade spiritual artifact. I'll use it to send you to your death. Tell your people from the Sora family not to be so arrogant in hell." Hearing this, Sora Takei's expression changed. He hurriedly shouted, "I want to admit." Of course, he wanted to admit defeat. As the saying goes, a bad life is better than a good death. Even if it was embarrassing, he didn't want to die like this. After all, there might still be hope. If he died, there would be nothing left. However, Ling Xiao didn't give him this opportunity. Ling Xiao didn't allow him to say the word admit defeat at all. With a sweep of the saber in his hand, Sora Takei's body was directly cut in half. The terrifying saber chi instantly spread all over Sora Takei's body, destroying his internal organs and brain. "I lost." At this time, Sora Takei said the last word. "Oh, you want to admit defeat? Why didn't you say so earlier? Now it's troublesome. I can't save a dead person." Seeing Sora Takei fall to the ground with his eyes wide open, Ling Xiao shrugged and looked very innocent. Was he killed just like that? The dignified genius of the Sora clan, who was protected by the Black Tortoise Temple, was killed by Ling Xiao in front of Xianming? Sora Takei didn't even have the chance to admit defeat. Although everyone knew that people would die in this battle of kings, the audience really didn't expect to die so quickly. Bastard! Suddenly, a furious roar erupted from the audience. Then, a terrifying aura directly pounced on Ling Xiao. Unfortunately, when this aura approached the stage, it was directly blocked by the barrier. "Ling Xiao, you actually dared to kill him." Ling Xiao turned around and took a glance. That person was an expert of the Sora clan, a half-step rebirth realm expert. This made him feel a little ridiculous. So what if I killed him? I even killed Sora Takei. Is a mere Sora Takei worth being afraid of? Oh, right, Sora Takei was also killed yesterday. I really don't know what qualifications an idiot like you has to be arrogant. If you want to live, you better shut your mouth." Ling Xiao said contemptuously to that person. Then he slowly walked back to his seat. The Sora Takei clan expert really shut his mouth. Moreover, his face was filled with intense fear. He knew that Sora Takei was killed, but he didn't know who did it. That was a rebirth realm expert. Now that he heard Ling Xiao's words, he suddenly understood. It must be that expert by Ling Xiao's side, Demon Wine Sword, who did it. Chapter 1921. The more he thought about it, the more terrified he felt. It was as if he had been stabbed by the sword of death all over his body, and he shuddered. He was really afraid that the liquor demon's sword would kill him as well. After all, it was a terrifying existence that could even kill Aoi Nu. His body was trembling constantly, and he was about to collapse. Fortunately, Lawless's voice saved him. Ling Xiao wins the first battle. Let's begin the second battle. Cold Plum, choose your opponent. Lawless's voice was somewhat majestic, which temporarily dispelled the fear in the heart of the Aoi family expert. But at this time he no longer dared to look at Ling Xiao, nor did he dare to speak. Lang Mei stepped onto the arena and pointed with her finger. I'll choose him. Sorry, Long Chin. I want to solve a problem for my master first. The person she was pointing at was none other than the fifth son of the Jingyi school. This person had targeted Ling Xiao more than once or twice. He could be considered the best friend of the hundred-eyed demon, Lord Wulong originally. Long Chin said that he wanted to kill this guy, but now Cold Plum took the lead and chose the fifth son. First, she wanted to hone her combat skills, and second, she wanted to cut off the henchman of the hundred-eyed demon Lord Wulong. I'll let you have him, Long Chin said indifferently. When the people of the Zhengyi school saw this scene, they couldn't help but have a toothache. What did this mean? Did these two guys look down on the fifth son of the Zhengyi school? How could they fight to kill him? Since you dare to challenge me, I'll let you know what pain is. Naturally, the fifth son was not afraid of Cold Plum. He directly rose from his seat and landed on the arena. When he arrived at the arena, he wanted to say a few more words, but he found that Cold Plum's figure had suddenly disappeared. Black feather, shadow stab. When the fifth son noticed Cold Plum again, Cold Plum was already near him. Frightened, he hurriedly waved the weapon in his hand to block. However, Cold Plum's expression was cold. She went around him, allowing the other party's weapon to hit her. Then, she stabbed the dagger in her hand into Diwu Zi's neck. No, Diwu Zi did not expect that Cold Plum would dare to take his attack head-on. It was only when his attack touched Cold Plum's body that he realized that Cold Plum's body was protected by the colored glaze treasure light. So the colored glaze armor is on her. How is this possible? Was that Ling Xiao's own defense? For a moment, everyone was shocked. This included the sect master of the Black Tortoise Temple, Xianming. Good lad, although I don't know what martial arts you've cultivated, your defense is really good. However, in my opinion, it's still not worth mentioning. Xianming had a complicated smile on his face. On the one hand, he felt that Ling Xiao was worth cultivating. He could become an outstanding genius of his Huda sect. Even in the Xuanwu continent, he could compete with other young geniuses. On the other hand, Ling Xiao's character made him very unhappy. This guy was not only stubborn, but also stubborn. He would not give face to anyone. This kind of person was not easy to control. Go in peace. Cold Plum twisted the dagger and then moved sideways in an instant. The dignified fifth son, one of the 7 strongest geniuses of the Jingyi school, had his head cut off easily by Lang Mei. He did not even have a chance to fight back from beginning to end. She shamelessly sneak-attacked. Someone among the disciples of the Zhangyi school shouted, "It's ridiculous. The referee said before that as long as you step into the arena, the battle has already begun." The fifth son did not know how to defend himself. It can only be said that he was stupid. Blame others for sneak-attacking? Ling Xiao's voice sounded, not giving these people any face. Judge, don't you agree? All right, the second battle, Cold Plum wins. It was not good for Lawless to attack the Jingyi school again, but he had to admit that Ling Xiao was right. The fifth son was clearly too careless. He thought that Cold Plum was not even as good as Ling Xiao, so he was not prepared to fight at all. As a result, he was attacked and died tragically. He deserved to die. So far, 2 people had died in 2 battles. To be honest, this situation surprised many people. Ling Xiao was seriously injured, but he could still easily kill Sora Jingfei. Cold Plum was thought to have gotten second place in the treasure hunting battle by luck, but she also easily killed the fifth son that the Jingyi school had high hopes for. These 2 people might not be as weak as they thought. In the third battle, Feng Fei chose Zhu Shaotsong. She wanted to use him to vent her anger. After all, Ling Xiao had killed people from the Jingyi school. Naturally, she had to do something. But Zhu Shaotsong wisely chose to give up. He wasn't stupid and wouldn't do anything pointless. In fact, it wasn't just him. Of all the people here, There were probably only a few who could match Feng Fei without losing. In the fourth battle, Tianhai Tyranny chose MOU. This was clearly aimed at Ling Xiao as well. MOU naturally gave up as well. If it was any other opponent, he could still try, but there was no shame in giving up against Tianhai Tyranny. What a coward. The White Tiger Gathering doesn't need such cowards. Have them get the hell out of 10,000 lightning, desolate grounds, right? Tianhai Tyranny's personality was different from Feng Fei's. MOU's abandonment made him very unhappy, so he spoke directly to Lawless. That's right, this kind of good-for-nothing should be kicked out. Many people below the stage began to shout as well. Lawless didn't speak, but Xianming waved a hand. His Highness Crown Prince of the Tianhai Empire is right. The White Tiger Gathering doesn't need cowards. Those who give up without even fighting shouldn't stay. Your Excellency sect head's words are incorrect. Ling Xiao stood up and said in a clear voice. His voice was resounding and carried with it a terrifying, domineering aura. This wasn't just because of his Sky Tyrant martial soul, but because he was the celestial emperor of the Dragon Emperor Empire. Impudent! You dare question the sect head's judgment? Lawless roared. So what if I do? Can't I question him if he's wrong? Speak. Xianming stared at Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with cold, killing intent. He wanted this Ling Xiao dead more and more. If not for the fear of breaking the vases, he would have attacked him right now. Your Excellency sect head says cowards shouldn't stay here. Then do you mean to say that idiots should stay? Ling Xiao said coldly. Seeking fortune and avoiding calamity, knowing one's limits, is the key to a martial artist's survival. Facing an opponent you have no chance of beating, you still want to challenge them. That's not courage, that's stupidity. Zhu Xiaocong and MOU stood out from the blood, purgatory battles, and the treasure hunt. After experiencing life and death, they became one of the 66 remaining. If they are all cowards, who dares to say they have courage? You know this, but you still did something stupid like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Xianming looked at Ling Xiao and said, A mantis trying to stop a chariot? I don't think so. When I, Ling Xiao, do something, if I don't have some confidence, I won't take the risk. Otherwise, I would have been dead long ago. I'm not dead now, not because they pity me, but because they have no other choice. Ling Xiao said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Chapter 1922. Enough. This old man won't argue with you. Since they want to stay, then stay. The battle will continue. Xianming thought to himself, Stay and die with you. Lei Lai, the fifth to fight, was a cautious man. Although he had the right to choose his opponent, he didn't choose anyone too strong. Even if they were slightly stronger, he avoided them. He directly chose the 64th ranked opponent. That guy had a bitter expression on his face as he gave up. In the 6th round, Sun Lingchan chose a contestant from the Genie School. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that she was helping Ling Xiao vent his hatred. Feng Fei eliminated the Celestial Empire's people, so she helped Ling Xiao eliminate the Genie School's people. In the 7th round, Long Qin stepped onto the stage. He still chose a Genie School martial artist. It was obvious that the Celestial Empire and the Genie School were going all out in today's challenge. There was nothing much to say about the following challenges. The top geniuses all won easily. If they could choose someone with a weaker cultivation base, they chose those with weaker cultivation bases. This was not only because they didn't want to waste their energy, but more importantly, because they didn't want to expose their trump cards. When they met weak opponents, they would either choose to give up or be defeated in 1 or 2 moves. Their true competitors couldn't see through their strength at all, which preserved their advantage in the following battles. Ling Xiao was more concerned about the Crown Prince Consort, Hundred-Eyed Demon Lord Wulong, Xiao Budian, Lei Meng, and Lei Tun. They all defeated their opponents easily. These people had grudges against Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao wanted to choose an opponent, he would naturally choose from them. It was normal to pay attention to their battles. Although these people defeated their opponents in 1 or 2 moves, he could still find some clues. Lei Mang and Lei Tun hadn't made much progress. It was obvious that the white tiger meat wasn't of much help to them. Especially in the first 2 battles, they didn't gain much benefit. In contrast, Hundred-Eyed Demon Lord Wulong, Xiao Badian, and the Crown Prince Consort had made great progress. They were already considered first-rate existences. If he had to choose an opponent from these people, he would have to choose either Lei Tun or Lei Mang first. As the competition continued, another Jingyi school martial artist stepped onto the stage. This person's ranking in the Jingyi school was relatively high. He was considered the 10th genius of the Jingyi school. The opponent he chose was still the Celestial Dynasty Empire's martial artist, Dan Feng. Of course, he could choose Feng Ming Lian and Ji Luoyu, the 2 weaker ones. However, as one of the top 10 martial artists in the Jingyi school, he had some dignity that was not worth much. He felt that he would be laughed at by others. Moreover, he also felt that if he chose Dan Feng, he could still defeat Dan Feng. However, if an opponent was chosen after the 10th place, the opponent could reject the challenge. Unless there was a difference of more than 20 places, the opponent had to accept the challenge. According to the rules, if Dan Feng avoided the battle, then there was nothing he could do. But Dan Feng didn't refuse. Within the Celestial Empire, apart from Ling Xiao, Dan Feng felt that his actual combat ability was the strongest. He was even ranked ahead of Long Chen and Cold Plum. Even though his cultivation wasn't too high, he had experienced too many battles, so it was normal for him to win against someone stronger than him. Moreover, after the first 2 battles, he had perfectly inherited the legacy of the traitorous immortal. Not only had his cultivation broken through to the 16th level of the Yin-Yang realm, but his overall combat strength had skyrocketed. His cultivation was higher than Ling Xiao's to begin with. Although this advantage was getting smaller and smaller, he could still maintain it for the time being. This was the only area where he could compare to Ling Xiao. Dan Feng also had the heart of a strong man and a genius. He wanted to prove that he was also a mainstay of the Celestial Dynasty Empire, not just a spectator. You actually dare to come up? The 10th genius of the Jingyi school was clearly surprised. When the Jingyi school's martial artists challenged the Celestial Dynasty Empire's people before, the other party had directly forfeited. Why did it change when it came to him? Are you looking down on me? Although I'm only ranked 10th, I'm not necessarily weaker than the 7 sons. The person looked at Dan Feng and spoke coldly. So what? Even if it was Feng Fei, I wouldn't refuse to fight, much less you. Dan Feng said lightly. This was his personality. Don't forget that he used to be an existence that suppressed Phoenix Cry Chishan in the Divine Phoenix continent. He was ranked first on the Dragon Phoenix rankings, and had even gone to the White Tiger continent many times to gain experience. Although Ling Xiao's rise had overshadowed his brilliance, no one dared to look down on him. You really don't make a draft for boasting. I'd better advise you to admit defeat quickly. Otherwise, once the battle starts, I won't give you any chance to admit defeat. The 10th genius of the Jingyi school also had the glory of being a disciple of the Jingyi school. He looked at Dan Feng, hoping that he would admit defeat. This would not only reflect his powerful majesty and domineering aura, but also reduce some of his consumption. There were only benefits and no disadvantages. If it was only consumption, then it was fine. He was most afraid of being injured. That might affect the next battle. According to the rules of the Battle of Kings, each round of advancement could lead to better rewards. This 10th genius naturally wanted to win without a fight, because the further he went, the stronger his opponents would be. He had to maintain his full strength. Want to kill me? Dan Feng smiled contemptuously. Originally, I only wanted to defeat you, but if you want to kill me, don't blame me for being ruthless." Although Dan Feng looked calm and collected on the surface, he was absolutely a decisive person who would kill. If his opponent didn't kill him, he wouldn't be ruthless. But if his opponent wanted to kill him, he wouldn't be merciful. "You're simply stubborn." The 10th genius of the Zhengyi school didn't intend to persuade Dan Feng anymore. He wanted to kill him in the shortest time and with the least consumption. Dan Feng, smiled coldly and took the lead to take a step forward. Suddenly, a gust of wind rolled up, and the whole ring made a whistling sound. At that moment, everyone was stunned. This guy is not simple. Feng Fei narrowed his eyes. Although his cultivation is not as good as 10th junior brother, his use of power is too powerful. For a long time, the efficiency of a martial artist's internal energy conversion into attack and defense could not exceed 70%. A large amount of internal energy would be consumed in the conversion process. Most martial artists' internal energy conversion efficiency was less than 50%. Skilled geniuses could reach 50% to 60%. Very few martial artists could reach 70%, but it was impossible to go any higher. 10th junior brother's internal energy conversion efficiency was about 55%, but this Dan Feng's conversion efficiency reached 70%, purely from the use of internal energy. This person is an unparalleled genius. Although Dan Feng was an enemy, Feng Fei had to admit that the man's innate talent in a certain aspect was terrifying. It was no wonder that this person had always occupied first place on the Dragon Phoenix rankings. Moreover, he hadn't been killed when he traveled alone on the White Tiger continent. Chapter 1923. Miss Feng Fei deserves to be called the #1 genius of the White Tiger continent. Your eyesight is truly formidable. Possessing power and using power were two different things in and of itself. Possessing is the foundation, while using is a higher stage. Dan Feng smiled slightly as his weapon appeared in his hand, a horsetail whisk. The horsetail whisk looked soft and harmless, but no one dared to look down on it at this moment, because yin and yang energy was constantly being released from the whisk, creating a special atmosphere. At the same time, a tornado rose up behind Dan Feng. It was his martial soul, wind martial soul, one of the nature attribute martial souls. Others use their martial souls to fight, but Dan Feng used his martial soul to create momentum. Momentum was a very mysterious thing. If a martial artist could borrow the momentum of heaven and earth, then their attacks would be incomparably powerful. Most martial artists knew how to borrow momentum, but heaven and earth had its own laws. How could it be so easy to borrow momentum? Thus, Dan Feng took a different approach. He didn't borrow momentum, but created momentum. The entire arena had become the home of the wind. In this environment, the power of all of Dan Feng's attacks would increase greatly. Moreover, it would be accompanied by the force of the wind, giving his opponent a great sense of oppression. Boom! A terrifying aura flew out from the horsetail whisk and flew towards the 10th genius of the Zhengyi sect. It was as if a gale between heaven and earth had enveloped him. It made the 10th heaven feel like he was going against nature. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. Humans could be defeated, but could heaven and earth really be defeated? If you wanted to conquer the heavens, your cultivation had to reach the level of the 7 rulers. Obviously, the 10th genius couldn't do that. Therefore, his aura instantly weakened by a lot. Ling Xiao looked at Dan Feng and couldn't help but nod silently. Actually, he'd used the technique of creating momentum in the process of using his sky Tyrant martial soul. The boundless universe enveloped the entire arena, instilling fear in his enemies and weakening their fighting spirit. However, that was a supporting effect, while Dan Feng had turned it into his main fighting style. If a martial artist set his mind on a direction, then he would become very terrifying. Dan Feng was the best example. This Dan Feng was really stronger than before. He could totally become Ling Zhao's right-hand man and help him share his burdens and solve his problems. Sigh. Another genius. Xian Ming sighed helplessly. Cold Plum, Long Chun, and Dan Feng. Any one of them is as talented as the top geniuses of the White Tiger continent. But why are they so loyal to Ling Zhao? Even the sect master of the Black Tortoise Temple could not figure it out. It turns out that the overbearing and confident Xianming has times when he sighs. I have seen it for myself. All of a sudden, Xianming heard a voice in his head. Who? Xianming was startled. This was because the person who was able to project their voice directly into his mind was definitely not any weaker than him. In his impression, there were not many people like this in the entire White Tiger continent. What? You can't recognize my voice already? That person didn't answer directly and instead asked with a smile. 9 heavens do. Xianming was stunned for a moment and then transmitted his voice through his soul. Hee. Looks like you haven't forgotten me. Back then, when the Black Tortoise Temple was messing around in the extreme lightning place, we didn't do anything. It wasn't because we were afraid of you, but because the palace master was cultivating in seclusion and didn't want to be disturbed. Now that the palace master has come out of seclusion, the good days of the Black Tortoise Temple are over. 9 heavens, Du's voice was very pleasant. Judging from the voice, it was clearly a young woman. Xianming looked into the distance and realized that there was a woman in a snow-white robe standing on a mountain in the distance. 9 Heavens Palace, you finally showed up. Xianming sneered. The Black Tortoise Temple occupied the extreme lightning place, held the white tiger meat, and even supported the 4 great families. It seemed like they were recruiting talents, but their main purpose was to deal with the 9 Heavens Palace. The 9 Heavens Palace was somewhere in the extreme lightning place. When the human king retreated, he left the 9 heavens deities to guard this place. Although the 9 heavens deities weren't one of the top 12 human deities, they were still human deities. They had been here for generations and created the powerful 9 Heavens Palace. Unfortunately, 10,000 years ago, the White Tiger continent was in turmoil. In order to quell the rebellion, the palace master of the 9 Heavens Palace was seriously injured and had to go into seclusion to cultivate. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the Deep Earth sect of the Black Tortoise Continent established the Black Tortoise Temple and entered the extreme lightning place. They openly replaced the 9 Heavens Palace and became the top force of the White Tiger Continent. Everyone thought that the 9 Heavens Palace had fallen. Who would have thought that the 9 heavens would suddenly appear? Did this mean that the 9 Heavens Palace would once again rule the White Tiger Continent? No one knew. Xianming didn't know either, but he believed that the Black Tortoise Temple had made all the preparations. Even if the 9 Heavens Palace reappeared, they wouldn't be afraid. If the 9 Heavens Palace was so powerful, they would have made their move long ago. They wouldn't have let the 9 heavens deities, who often harassed the Black Tortoise Temple, make trouble. At this moment, there was a sudden roar from the arena. The 10th genius of the Jingyi school was swept out of the arena by Dan Feng's gust of wind without any resistance. He was torn to pieces in the sky. Now another person was killed, and the one who died was the 10th genius of the Jingyi school. The one who attacked was an unknown person from the Celestial Empire. Most of the people cried out in surprise. Ling Xiao, Cold Plum, Long Chen, and Dan Feng. These are probably the mainstays of the Celestial Empire. The 4 of them should be on par with the top geniuses of the White Tiger continent. You're exaggerating. They're only second-tier geniuses. Compared to Sun Lingchan, Mu Wanchuang, Jun Maching, and Jun Macho, they're okay. Compared to the 13 top geniuses? Stop bragging. There was a fierce debate in the crowd. However, this didn't affect the judges' announcement of the winner. This battle, Dan Feng wins. After Dan Feng won, he turned and returned to Ling Zhao's side. Brother Dan Feng, you're really not a good friend. You're so strong, but you didn't tell me earlier. You made me worry. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Brother Ling, don't laugh at me. You still don't know what I'm capable of. However, it's true that my strength has become stronger. This is all thanks to Brother Ling's help in obtaining the inheritance of the traitorous immortal. Dan Feng smiled bitterly. You don't seem to have used the inheritance of the traitorous immortal, right? Ling Xiao's eyesight was better than almost everyone present. In terms of eyesight, even Xianming was not as good as him. As expected, I can't hide anything from Brother Ling. It's just the first battle. There's no need to use it. I'll try to get into the top 10. If not, I'll enter the top 15. I won't let you work for nothing. Dan Feng said confidently. I hope that the four of us can join hands and enter the top 10. In this way, let's see who dares to look down on the talents of our celestial empire. Ling Xiao held his breath in his heart. He was looked down upon and called ants and trash. He was waiting for this day to be completely exalted. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.